Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan coming here. Just like that.
Is that Wyverian? You should keep this in. You should keep that in. You should make this the intro. That would be amazing. So people know how this stuff goes. It's not always one run.
Okay, well that works. How you doing, Gaijin? You having a good time? We could just have that intro. That'll be perfect. You know, I tend to do like 72, 50, 100 takes before I actually get started with the video. So, you know, with the Third Fleet podcast, I'm actually not that bad. Usually 1 take, 2 take stops. And this time still only counts as 1 take because, you know, we already did the intro. It was perfect. This is episode 14, if I remember correctly. And we have a lot of stuff to talk about. The past 2 days have been completely overwhelming in terms of the amount of news that we received, in terms of the amount of depth that we got to see some of the features in, like Rampage and all that stuff. So we got a long one in front of us. So get yourself a cup of joe, get yourself some popcorn, maybe whatever snack of your choosing.
Popcorn.
I don't know, something along those lines. But as per usual, I thought
you were gonna say get yourself some Astra jerky to chew on.
Astera jerky, but are people bleeding? Is it that time of the month? Oh God, no! I'm sorry. It's the sleep deprivation. Slap happy is what you called it last time, I think. So, what have you been playing this week, Gaijin? Please save me.
I've been playing more World and Iceborne as always. We're actually coming up on wrapping up our journey. I think we're now in. What do you call it? Like the airplanes going down into what's that phase they call it? We're now entering the
landing stage,
the arrival process. Yeah, the landing stage. So
we're now descending we've into the airport.
Yes, we've taken down all the monsters. Yuna's gone through all the ones she never faced. We have she's got like 18 evil eyes sitting in her box from Fatalis. We've done everything. We've made tons of fashion sets and had a great time, and I don't think we plan to stop playing, but it's time to try to get some sleep. You know what I mean? Like not get ourselves sick before Rise arrives, because we've played like an average of 5 hours a day for a month and a half.
That was actually what I was going to bring up. Like, you got to be very careful to prevent burnout before Rise, because ultimately, the kind of gameplay loop is still the same, and you're going to go from playing Iceborne straight into playing Rise, and you're like, we're doing the same thing we were doing these past months. It's just in a new game. So yeah, it's good to have like a break time period. I myself have been avoiding playing Monster Hunter whenever possible because I want to be fresh for when Rise hits. The 2 games that I've been playing has been pretty much just Final Fantasy XIV and little bit of Bravely Default 2. I've been really enjoying the kind of like simplicity of Bravely Default because I'm still early in, so it's kind of like you can do Brave, you can do Default, fairly simple. I'm
gonna play it. I'm just apprehensive about everything I hear about it. It feels like it's an old school RPG, like it should be. But
it is.
It feels like it's going to be grindy and slow as well, which is great if that's like the one game you're playing. You get a lot of gameplay out of it, but I don't have the time for that right now. So
I don't know. Again, I think I'm only like 7 to 8 hours in, which is not that much, but it's just been so busy with homeschooling the kid online and all of the content that we've had to make for the past couple of days. It's been completely insane. So
mad respect out there to parents who are doing homeschooling. Honestly, I don't, because in Japan, people think that we've been locked down for a year. So we never had a lockdown ever, really. But we don't do homeschooling here. But we did do some dabbling in it, just tech testing, so to say. And man, that stuff's not easy.
It just kind of sucks, particularly the younger your child is, the worse it is, because they'll get distracted by literally everything. So I'm just constantly, pay attention. I have to be like the evil dad that's just constantly like, pay attention. Because otherwise he just gets easily distracted. Very, very frustrating. But you know what? You know what is one of the things that surprised me the most about Bravely Default 2? How good it actually looks when it's in docked mode. I was really surprised. The characters look really good. Like, I was expecting the game to, like, once you stretch it out, particularly on a 4K TV that I have that's not even, it doesn't even, when you're doing downscaling from a 4K TV to like 1080p, it stretches out even more and like everything warps and stuff, doesn't look very good. It actually looked really good. Like I was surprised with the way it looked. So, but
I think Switch is in the golden era now where really capable developers are just making magic on the machine right now. And that usually happens in like the 4th, 5th year, right? And it's been like 4 years since the Switch came out. So golden era, guys. We're in a good period.
And interestingly enough, now the rumor is coming back around again. There's going to be a new Switch 2021 holiday season. And I've been getting so many people like, so Rurikhan, should I wait for, and I'm just like, look, at this point, I'm not even giving anybody advices anymore. Like everything is out the window. What I can tell you is I've been listening about the Switch Pro since like 2018, in which people were saying 2019, 100% Switch Pro's coming out.
I know.
Then that didn't happen. They moved it on to the next year. 2020 Switch Pro, 100%, totally going to happen. And then that didn't happen. Now it's 2021. And then if it doesn't happen this year, it'll be 2022. It's like at one point they're going to get it right.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I was telling you, and this annoys me to no end, is that when you call something wrong that many times in a row, you're just doing it because you know you're going to... It's like if I wake up in the morning and say, I can feel it, it's going to rain today, and eventually I'm going to be right. But you have to remember, I was wrong 7 times in a row before that. It's like... everyone knows they're going to have a successor, whether it's called the Switch Pro or something else, which means that everyone can say, well, see... This is what it is. Like, it's just like so stupid at this point. I'm like, I don't know. But I don't care. When it comes out, I'll get it. But it's like, who the heck knows, really?
I'm the same way. Like, I keep telling people, look, here's what you got to know. If it comes out tomorrow, I'm buying it. Like, that's what I can. If it comes out tomorrow, I'm just straight up buying it because I really
I'll tell you right now,
so.
like, my personal thoughts have always been, I think eventually they'll make one, of course. I still think next year would be the bigger possibility, but... it could be possible. It's just another system refresh. Like they had the better battery on the last refresh. Maybe this one has a more crisp, nice screen, and that's it. Like I just don't. I'm not going to waste my energy worrying about it. Who knows?
It's not something that we can advise people on at this point. The one thing that we did say is that we think it would be kind of like a little bit anti-consumer for Nintendo to launch a Rise Special Edition and then within a short time span to launch a friggin' Switch Pro. But then again, both of us also thought that Rise wasn't going to come to the PC, and we were both wrong. So who the hell knows?
Yeah.
So, and we're happy about it, by the way. I think we already talked about that in the previous podcast. But so one of the first things that I wanted to talk about for today's podcast is I know that you watched the events with Yuna.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So no furious live tweeting for me, which is what I usually do. I usually enjoy them by watching the streams on one window and have Twitter on the other one. And it's like the Nintendo Direct. You just start spitting out all your reactions and thoughts as you watch it. I didn't do that. Like
wait, Gaijin, let me just tell you something. We have this technology now. It's called live stream. You wouldn't have to furiously tweet. You could just say this stuff as it's happening.
But if you're talking, how can you hear what's going on?
Well, that's the thing. You just put in a couple of comments here and there in between the stuff that they say. But no, I think what you did was probably the more fun thing by watching it with Yuna. But tell me what that experience was like. I'm a dinosaur. Because I'm just super curious to see how she reacted to. Because this is the first time that you watched a Monster Hunter type event where she's interested in actually playing the game. So how did that work out?
Exactly. Yeah, we actually have a reaction video from a few years ago on my channel, like on camera, where we messed around with the green screen and we reacted to one of the Monster Hunters, but she wasn't playing the game or anything.
Yeah.
She just enjoyed the monsters, but this was fun. So we set up, we timed it out. So I had dinner ready right as the stream started. She decorated the living room with all the Monster Hunter plushes because we've amassed a hell of a collection over the last month. Like basically our journey of Monster Hunter World and Iceborne is now encapsulated in plush monsters around the house.
That is
so she decorated the whole TV area with all the different figures and the plushes. She had Xenojiva and Safijiva on her lap when she was watching it. And we sat down and watched it. It was great. And she really had a good time. We're both surprised and, wah! Screaming and stuff like that. So it was really exciting. And the pacing was so good on Thursdays, the first day, because that was like an actual like announcement, like
What do you mean
direct.
Thursday? Monday.
God, see, sorry, Monday, or Tuesday for us. Sorry, no, it's Monday. Okay,
I think
Monday,
it was
yeah.
Monday. Yeah.
Yes. So that was really good, and she really enjoyed. There was like no moment of like slowness. It was fast. It was furious. Awesome. Yesterday's was more slow. She was kind of zoned out because there was a lot of like, we have a very different direct we had here in Japan.
Yeah, I've heard.
It was long, and there was time. She enjoyed it, but it was like there wasn't a lot of new stuff compared to obviously Monday. But she really enjoyed it. We had a great time. And then we didn't sleep for like another hour, even though it was like midnight, because we were too busy talking about it, being excited, and it was great. I mean,
I do get
true, right?
I do get like a really excitement vibe coming in for Rise that I kind of feel like we didn't get for World. Like for World, like I was excited and it was fun and it was great and it's my favorite game of all time. But for some reason, Rise feels like it's even more. Like there's something about it that feels like it's even more exciting than World, and I can't put my finger on what it is. But yeah, it's been completely insane. Like even people just like in chat in my live streams, everybody's like enjoying themselves and whatnot. I've heard that there were some toxic people in the official streams and whatnot, but it's like
there always is. Yeah. Like that's not a monster. That's an internet problem, I think.
Yeah.
But no, she was clapping during like some of the announcements which we'll cover, I'm sure, were really exciting. So, man, it was great. So it's been, I gotta admit, like there's a part of me that's like, I feel kind of like, oh, I wanted to be online and talking about it with people, but in the same area, being able to like sit down and enjoy an event like that with a friend, a daughter, son, whatever. That's magical, man. You can't pass that up.
It's a completely different vibe than doing a live stream on. Yes, 100% agree.
So I loved it, and how fortunate I am is not lost on me. So I am just eating this up.
So I don't know what exactly were the differences in the Japanese events. So just very briefly before we dive deeply into it, like on the event on Monday, we talked about the switch skills, then we talked about Rampage, and obviously we had the new trailer. I'm assuming the trailer is the same on both events. Like, was that around the same thing that you guys had on the Monday event?
Yeah, Monday was identical. So what we had in Japan was the same as the global.
Okay, so
the difference was yesterday.
So what did you get? Well, yesterday for you, today for me. What did you get on day 2? Let's just call it day 1 and day 2. What did you get on day 2 that we didn't get in the West? I know that you had a full co-op hunt of Gosarag, right? Whereas we just had like a one hunter hunt.
Yeah. I gotta say though, there was certain things about the English stream that I appreciated, and there was things about the Japanese one I appreciated. It was very different.
Yeah.
So the Japanese stream was actually taken. They didn't archive it. They took it down immediately. And
I noticed because when I saw the Japanese stream earlier, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to push my stream to be earlier and I'll analyze a little bit of the Japanese stream. And then I was like, oh, crap. They made this private and I can't even rewind the stream to watch it.
No.
Damn.
So the reason why was the English one was a pre-recorded video, right? So it was edited by Yuri and Sox, and it was an edited video. Where
Sox is doing Sox is doing a really good job with the VOs, dude.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he's really good at it.
I think they need to lower the game volume a little bit so the voice sticks a little more. But I love his VO; it's great.
Yeah.
But so in Japan, it was a live stage performance. It was in Shinagawa. It was a hotel. It was a live event, so they had press there. They were pausing so the press could do, photos with them and the talent and the celebrities, and there's photo ops and stuff. So they opened up with, do you want to jump right into day 2 instead of day 1, or I shouldn't get too detailed. So let me give you just the overview. So
I just wanted the overview.
So we had some live performances from some of the artists that are working on the game, whether it's the calligraphy artist or the singer for Hinoa. We had a live stage talk with Tsujimoto and Ichinose. They were on stage talking. They showed a new commercial. They had an interview. They did a hunt with Gosarag with the developer, or Tsujimoto, and the celebrity model. She did it. Then they had a break, and then they came back. They did a performance. Then they showed off a full rampage, like a full rampage hunt, like from beginning to end, pretty much.
Oh, we definitely got to talk about that when we get to the rampage section.
Yeah, so they went through all the different waves, explained all the different stuff, the prep periods. They even showed off. Apparently it was off script because Sugimoto always likes to show off something that was not on script or say something because he's a fan service man, right? He's the executive producer. So he said, "Hey, go ahead and show off the Apex Arzuros." And both Ichinose and the Usami, who does the MC, they're like, "Really? We can show that off?" He's like, "Yeah, show it." Okay. So
he's like, "I'm Ryozu. I can do what I want."
But they both were just like, "Huh?" Like they were completely blindsided by it. And so Ichino was like, "Thank you." So they went ahead and showed off a good, juicy, I'd say 30 to 40 seconds of the Apex Arzuros and him just destroying the fort, the stronghold or whatever it's called in English. And that was really fun. And then they ended it. So it was a very different thing. We watched both the Japanese and the English because they were so different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting, even if you don't speak Japanese, the fact that it was a full hunt, so to say, it's very interesting to go in and just watch it.
Yeah.
Plus, they had a video that I don't remember if they had it in English, but they have a video on their YouTube of, what's his name? The, it's you, that guy. I forgot his name. Ushita?
I don't know. Is it the guy that like paints his face white and black?
Boy.
Oh, then
Zenogre boy.
Okay, no. I know what you're talking about. The Otsuchi video where they show off Kimura Village and they showed off the player home and stuff like that.
Everything. Yeah,
yeah. Because like I saw your tweet and basically I just showed that on my stream because I thought that video I watched just a little bit. I like jumped around and it looked a lot like the video that I had commented on from IGN. So I didn't go too deep into it where they were showing like the functionality of Kimura and whatnot. But I guess they showed significantly more than that. I really like the shots that you took of the house. It actually it's an interesting thing because it seems like most games that portrait like a Sengoku era type of thing, they all have those little houses like that. It's got the little thing on the roof where you're hanging food off of, and then it has the little pot in the bottom where you cook and whatnot, and then you have the paintings on the walls. It's a very traditional Japanese thing. Even, for instance, Neo, it has Neo 2 actually, it has a house that is just like that one, literally just like that one. Your character is there and you can kind of customize a couple of things. It's just the same thing. I was like, wow.
Yeah. What I love about that one was the fact that when you're in your house, the door's open and you can see the village from outside. So it feels
there's
like
no
you're
loading
inside
screen?
the village still. I think there's loading one. I mean, it's like visually you see the village outside. So you know cool. Where you are in the village, and you feel like you're in the village, which is kind of cool.
And I like the fact that it wasn't like a big palace, at like the third house that you get in the world, with like a feline playing the harp and whatnot.
Harp.
I like the fact that it was more rustic, more simple. I'm more about that stuff. But
yeah, so I know they showed off customization of like wall scrolls, but I'm hoping that we can change like the matting and the flooring and all that kind of stuff. That'd be cool.
Yeah, we'll probably be able to do that. They're probably going to be selling. I would assume they're going to be selling some microtransactions like they did for Iceborne and stuff for the room customization. So, we're getting a little bit too deep into day 2. We got to rewind back because before we even jump into Rise, I got to talk about something else because that trailer. I already love the first trailer that I saw of it, but that second trailer for Stories 2.
I mean, talk about the biggest smile on my face when we were watching that. Oh, there is something warm and fuzzy, like cup of hot chocolate on a cold day. Something wonderful about this game.
I already said I'm playing the whole thing on YouTube when it comes out July 9th. I'm going to just be doing full playthrough. I didn't do it for the first one because it was 3DS, and streaming 3DS is a logistical nightmare. Like, if you've never tried streaming 3DS, trust me, it's atrocious. It's really bad. And some people are like, you can emulate it. Now, I don't do emulation, just like I don't tend to do mods and stuff like that. It's not really for me. And playing it on phone is super frustrating. If they would just release it on the Switch, it'd be so perfect. The original stories, I'd love to play it on Switch. But stories too.
The contrast is going to be so big, though. Did you see the visuals on this game? Dude, oh my gosh.
It looks amazing. It was really funny because I showed it to a friend of mine, Hengist, and basically I showed it to him, and he's a big Pokemon fan. So I was like, so listen, here's this game. This is, imagine it's like Pokemon, but it's good. You know, if Pokemon was, it'd be this game. Right?
Damn.
And so he
we were
looks
talking about
at
the random roastings. There you go.
But he looks at this thing, right? And he just tells me more like stealing Breath of the Wild's art style. And I'm like, with the exception that this game they came up with this art style long before friggin' Breath of the Wild, dude. Don't even try me.
Oh man.
So I was happy.
It's just like, I don't know how they're getting this running on the Switch. It looks so good.
It looks super sharp.
And it's so soft, like the world. Like you got young girls sleeping on a gargoyle. You got the hunters sleeping on a palumu. Everything's all cozy and nice. And
yeah,
now this is a world I want to go to this world.
It's very welcoming. And it seems like there was some kind of like situation with hunters actually coming in wanting to hunt the monsties, and then there's a little bit of stuff going on in the story there. I was super hyped. I'm assuming it's still turn-based, despite the fact they're bringing some co-op stuff into the mix. I was super excited for the co-op stuff as well.
The co-op? My God. I mean, me and Yuna are going to be able to do some dungeons together? Are you kidding me?
Dude, I'm very curious to see how well fleshed out it is, because co-op is something that they tried doing in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and
it's not easy.
It was fun to some extent, but you could tell that it felt like a tacked on thing that they had done to the game. I think they eventually made it better, but I only played the game when it initially came out, and then I just dropped off of it. But to me, it just seems like stories is, even though it definitely feels somewhat inspired in Pokemon because you're still taking monsters and stuff, but it just feels like it's a much better evolution of that type of formula. Like even the original stories already did a lot of really cool stuff, like your hunter doing sync attacks with the monster, and it just feels like a much better system and much more engaging. And obviously I'm much more familiar with the monsters, so that to me is much more interesting. But I am super pumped for stories too. I was already excited when I saw the first trailer. And when I saw the second trailer, I was just like jaw dropped the whole time. Like, what the hell, dude? How does the game look this good on Switch? And another very important thing, you want to tell them? I mean, probably most people already know by now, I would assume.
I don't know. You're going to say this one.
It comes out on PC, and I'm assuming day and date.
Day and day, yeah. Which I think is fantastic, because
I think it's awesome.
People who want to or have to or have decided to wait for PC for Rise have to wait like a year, right? It's not coming out until early next year. They now have stories too to play in, what was it, July?
July 9th, yeah.
That's amazing. That's so nice. I'm
just surprised.
Okay, I'm going to say something. Here's a wild statement I'll throw out there. Visually, I'm more blown away by Stories 2 than I am Monster Hunter Rise.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I've told you this before. Like I wish that they had used that art style for Rise. I know that it probably mixed both products and whatnot. It's a product identity thing. But that was actually what I initially pictured back when they started talking about like World, and I was thinking, okay, so they're probably going to eventually do something for the Switch, and they would probably use the art style from Monster Hunter Stories. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking that the next Switch Monster Hunter was going to have that art style because it's so cool and it suits the Switch so much. But
so I don't know how people in the West reacted to this one, but me and Yuna were both very surprised and very excited to see our favorite weirdo cat come back.
Naviru?
Nabiru. We love Nabiru. In Japanese, he is so funny.
Here's the thing. The thing that throws me off is that I'm sure that there's probably some justification for it in the original stories, but
why he looks
Naviru looks weird as hell, dude. You look
It's
at a
who he is.
Palico.
It's a story thing. Play the first game and you'll know.
Okay,
There's a
I
full
would
reason
assume
why.
I would assume there was a reason for it, but that's something that always threw me off.
It's not even like a random bit of dialogue. It's a full story beat. Like they talk. Like there's a very important story of why he is how he is. So.
And see, this is why I need to play stories. This is why they need to bring Stories 1 to the Switch. Even though you can play Stories 2 without playing Stories 1, you've said that this is part of the marketing. They've said
You have a
repeatedly
3DS
in Japan.
still?
I don't want to dig up my 3DS just to play one game.
Get on it.
The worst part is that I already bought it like on my phone, and I tried playing it on a tablet that I bought for my son. And on the tablet, I think it actually plays reasonably well. I might have to, but I just can't deal with the touchscreen controls. Every time that I'm playing a game in touchscreen, at least let me play with a controller. If they gave me a controller, I'd be happy. I'm like, I'm good. Just give me a controller at this point.
So this podcast, I think we're going to be overwhelmingly positive, but I gotta say something here and get it out of my system, which is
go for it.
When we watched the English stream and we saw the trailer for Monster Hunter Stories 2, our jaws kind of hit the ground when we heard what Navido sounds like in English. It's like a Saturday morning like cartoon protagonist, like just a regular old young boy going, "Hey guys!" Like I personally hate the English voice for that. So I'm assuming they'll have options where you can play this in both Monster Hunter or Japanese and English. It's not an easy character to try and translate, but I did not like the English voice at all.
I don't know. I kind of feel like I might go for Japanese as well for Stories 2. Right now I'm definitely leaning towards Japanese in Rise because I didn't like we talked about this before. I think the way that hunters talk in English, they're so aggressive when they're going after the monsters. The lines that say like, "This is gonna hurt." It's like, I hope you ate for insurance or whatever the hell. It's like, dude, it feels very personal. Like these monsters insulted their ancestors or something. Doesn't necessarily give off that vibe of we're hunting to preserve the balance. It's like, no, we're just gonna kill you very violently.
Yeah, some people ask me, but I'm going to be playing the game, obviously, in English UI and English text, but I'm going to be playing with Japanese voices.
Yeah, I've
decided to do it.
I think I'm doing it that way as well. But
it is the same voice actors, though. If you do the Monster Hunter language, it is the Japanese voice actors who did those. So if that's something that interests you, you'll still get the same tone quality, I think, from the characters in Japanese if you don't want to just listen to Japanese. But the Japanese is really nice.
I don't know. I've listened to both in World, the Monster Hunter speak and the Japanese, and I tend to vibe more with the Japanese. It feels more natural. The Monster Hunter speak feels kind of weird and tribal, which I guess it should. That's the vibe that they're trying to pass out. But the Japanese feels more natural to me.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be a point that it sticks out. It should just feel nice to be there. So.
But I guess
Stories 2, I am freaking hyped for that. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's safe to say that the two of us are pretty hyped for Stories 2. I plan on potentially doing a full playthrough if there's enough people watching those streams. I'm going to be playing the crap out of it. If not, then I'll just play it on my own time. But I'm definitely playing Stories 2. I'm not going to let it slide. I'm excited to talk about it
because I think I told you before in the podcast, like Stories 1. I've had to pretty much avoid for a lot. I mean, I did a lot of videos on it, but it was tough because it was tied to a TV anime here in Japan. And the company that, I think it was Fuji or Tokyo, the TV that ran it were horrible in that any cutscene would be immediately like copyright, like claim or strike.
Cutscene from the game? Cutscene from the game?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think the thing is that I talked to, I think it was Eric's, he didn't have this issue. So it seems like they were only going crazy to people in Japan. And so I got the bad end of the stick. And so,
but I mean, if we look at it back then, that was also the days where Nintendo was going like, oh, you can't monetize our gameplay footage unless you're part of the Nintendo partner program or whatever, which was so redonkulous. And nowadays they don't do that anymore. So hopefully Japanese companies are becoming more wary of that type of stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, but they still haven't shown gameplay. So if people are like, why isn't everybody making tons of videos talking about stories too? It's because there's no gameplay yet.
Yeah,
But trust me, I think everybody is universally hyped as hell for this game.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot. I mean, we don't want to make videos hypothesizing about the story because obviously that's something that players will want to experience for themselves. You know, it's just one of those things. There's not a lot of material to make videos on besides saying, game looks real good. I'm real hyped about it. That, like, I even tried recording a video for Stories 2 and I wasn't happy about it because it was a 5-minute video. Me just saying, I'm real hyped about it. Can't wait to play it. But yeah. So let's start going over some of the stuff that we got in day one. And obviously the first thing to bring up is the trailer, which confirmed 2 monsters that you and I had already confirmed, which brings, I believe at this point, the total number of monsters to 34, not counting the apexes, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Something around 34, but the confirmation was Nargacuga and Zinogre, officially confirmed. It's really good listening to Zinzin's, I like to call him Zinzin, Zinzin's theme. Dun, 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 dun. It fits so well with the other themes of Monster Hunter Rise.
So I don't know whether or not this is my nostalgic eyes playing tricks on me, because we have to play the game to know for sure. Yeah. But there was something about the way he moved in the trailer that felt more like the older games than how he felt in World. Again, this could be completely inside my head. He seemed more, I don't know, he just looks, I think the model looks a little bit more similar to how he just feels more like a doggo. He feels more like a wolf than, I don't know. There's just some vibe I get that was it was almost like a welcome back nostalgic vibe when I saw it. And I did not get that in World and Iceborne. I don't know why, but something about this one. Maybe it's just the fact that the environments aren't crowded with stuff. I don't know. Something about it feels welcoming.
There's not as much clutter on screen where, and I say clutter, I don't mean to say clutter as in a bad way. Yeah. There's just World had so much more detail around the map that it's almost like each of the maps is a character onto itself with the amount of detail that it had and all of the traps and all that stuff. And in Rise, the attention is once again going back to the monsters themselves because the maps are much simpler in terms of the amount of detail that they provide. So I guess you just get more contrast when you look at it that way. So you get to appreciate more details on the monster and less details on the surrounding map, which interestingly enough, it looks like it got you to remember a little bit back in the day, Zinogre back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. So that was nice to see, though. I love how they just opened with it. They didn't try to make it into some big announcement, just like, yep, they're here too.
Then we got to see a bunch of different weapon attacks and stuff that we hadn't really seen before. There were some more. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's safe to say. No, I was gonna say. I think it's safe to say that this was the trailer, not only as a recap, but it was showing off Switch skills, as well as the Rampage, but specifically Switch skills. This was like the real first time they very actively showed off a bunch of different abilities.
Yeah,
I love this idea.
This idea is pretty damn good. They actually explained exactly how it works during the event. It was not in the trailer, but during the event, they explained how it works for the Gunlance's Blast Dash, which basically you replace a basic move, which is Charge Shell, with Blast Dash. And the really cool thing about Switch skills is that whenever there's a new move to a weapon, the weapon becomes more complex because you have to figure out, okay, how I'm going to do this new move. So a good example is pretty much a lot of the changes that they did in Iceborne, from World to Iceborne. It was like, okay, so for Charge Blade, now instead of canceling to charge your shield with R2, you can cancel with L2 as well, and you get your Savage Axe Slash. And, Gunlance, you use L2 and a bunch of other buttons. I don't even remember which ones it was to grab the ammo from the ground and then slam it into the Gunlance and make the Wormstake Blast and then apply the Wormstake Blast and all of these things. The weapons get more complex, but with Switch skills, the weapon complexity is exactly the same. You're just choosing a different thing for that same move set. So, for instance, with the Gunlances we're talking about, the way you do Charge Shell is just you hold down on A, Now instead of a charge cell, there's blast dash. There you go. Easy peasy. So, and the interesting thing is there's not going to be a cooldown for blast dash. Your cooldown is the number of, I mean, I'm assuming because there's no cooldown for charged shells. So your cooldown is the amount of shells that you have on the gun lens. So the monster runs away, blast dash. I still have shells, blast dash again, blast dash again. Just like gonna run across the whole map, blast dashing.
So I don't know whether or not they were so specific in the English, but in the Japanese presentation when they talked about it, he very specifically said, because we know that there's 3 different switch skills for each weapon. He was very specific in saying that one of them is a wire bug. One of them.
Oh.
And that the other, yes. And if you look at the streams we got, you were showing me you got a screen cap of the charge blade, and then I got a screen cap of Longsword from the Japanese one. It seems to be that the pattern I'm seeing between these 2 screenshots
2 basic
is there's
skills
only
and
one silk bind attack, which means that we'll have a total of 3, and you'll choose 2 that you want. But it seems like one of them is like a permanent one, like one of the silk binds is going to be a permanent one that you have, and the other one you can switch between one or the other.
Yes.
And then the other 2 are regular moves, so they're not silk bind. This is what intrigues me the most.
So tell me about Longsword, and then I'll tell you about Charge Blade, because I analyzed all of the moves from the Charge Blade, because they actually showed all of the moves, but I didn't get to see the Longsword one. I do know that you said that you swapped normal Spirit Round Slash for the Valor finisher.
Mm-hmm.
but tell me more about that, because I have no idea how Longsword works in GU.
Yeah, so well the pattern I'm seeing here is, again, I could be wrong, but it looks like the first one, the of the 2 moves that you can switch out, one seems to be like a regular move, which is just like, okay, well that definitely changes how I approach the hunt. The other one seems like they're taking the most integral part of the weapon and they're allowing you to switch it. So that's something like, like the longsword with Valor style, or like we saw in the trailer with the lance. You have the ability to use the Adept Guard.
Adept Guard, yeah.
Or not, which is
Adept
crazy.
Counter, actually. Adept Counter, right?
Or wait, I forgot the English name. I hate it. Instaguard. I don't know why they called it Instaguard.
It's called Instaguard?
In the English version of the game, I don't know why. I think it's because if you time it right, you do it in an instant, but it makes it sound like it's like hot oatmeal that you order. You're like, here's your Instaguard.
here's your very quick double cheeseburger. Some fast food.
Here you go, love. You want some apple pie with that? It's like so. But it seems like like regular move, integral move, and then silk bind, and that means that the impact of these changes are going to be big.
Yes.
And that also means that we have 8 different configurations that we could do in total. But okay, longsword. So the first longsword, I did not grab the screen. I missed the screen cap of, I was just taking photos like with my phone because I was watching TV. So I didn't capture what we'll get the video later today. But the first move that you can change is actually your initial draw. Like, how you press forward and you press X and you do like the downward chop with the sword.
Yes.
With the longsword, that can be changed out. So your flat out basic draw attack, aka the idle attack, can be changed. That's kind of interesting.
That's kind of a big deal, as it turns out. Holy crap!
Well, because that's your draw attack when you're on the ground, right?
Yeah. What can you change it for?
That's the thing. I didn't capture the screen shot in time to figure out what it was. The second one, which I did capture, is the finisher for the spirit combo. So you can just flat out change it between the Spirit Round Slash or the Valor. I can't remember the name that they're giving it in English.
Yeah. What's the advantage of doing the Valor one instead of the other one? Do they explain?
They just say that it's trickier to land, which I agree with. The Valor and the timing and the window and the distance that it's like the whole idea is that the Spirit Round Slash, you could be like a mile away and you're going to hit the monster with it. And that's the beauty of it, right? And it also puts your weapon away, which has advantages, right? In Valor mode, if I forgive me if I'm wrong, guys. One, it's trickier because just the timing of it's very different. It's also very, I mean, you're just swinging the sword behind your back like a crescent shape, so it's very cool looking. But it also means that you have to be very close to the monster but it's faster and it's more powerful. It's really powerful.
Okay. So you
so
can
if
use
you know your positioning really well.
So you can use the regular one for easier spirit gauge level ups, and you can use the other one for harder ones but more damage. That makes sense.
More damage, and it's actually faster as well, if I remember correctly. So
less animation commitment.
It's incredibly satisfying because it keeps your weapon out, I believe, when you finish the attack. You don't sheath your weapon. So it's meant for a more aggressive style of play. And it's so satisfying because it's so powerful in the past games that you often would flinch a monster when you land it. And it just looks really cool.
Interesting.
But the fact that you could just swap between the two, I think that's amazing.
So the third one, I do know because that one is in the official website. But go on.
Yeah, that's the one. You either do what we have right now, which is the kickoff, where you kick off, and then you can do the Spirit Helmbreaker, which I'm sure they're going to nerf to hell. Don't be surprised if it's they didn't change anything. I think in demo 2, it's just an update where they're adding Magnamalo. I don't think they're tweaking anything with the demo.
Yeah.
But the other one is the Sakura Slash from Generations Ultimate. So basically, you do this like really cool spinny move. You hit the monster, and then there's like a delay, and it goes bum 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 bum, and it hits them. It's a very concentrated attack, but it also raises your spirit level by 1.
That's the thing,
which
that
is crazy because
me.
it only takes 1 bug.
Wait, it only costs 1 bug?
That's what I saw.
Dude, the
when
first
they were
thing,
in the video.
First thing I said, because like one of the first videos that I did was I looked over all of the Silkbind changes that all of the new skills that you could change, and I was like, okay, so for the stuff that Sakura Slash does, it has to cost 2 bugs. Now you're telling me it's 1. Like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 1. Because I've never seen it in the training. I'm like, and I've never seen it, and the cooldown was kind of long. So it's not like it's like they called it a medium cooldown because in the item descriptions for the Japanese they put warrior bug recovery rate, and then they say whether it's slow, medium, or large. And for this one, it was listed as medium, which tells me it's probably like that. Was it like the 60-second counter maybe?
There was the
45-second counter.
There was the piercing attack on the dual blades. That one was long as hell. It was just one thing, but it was super long. It would take forever.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like that. So you're not gonna if you have wild wire bugs, I'm sure you'll be able to abuse the hell out of it. But that's gonna be another way to get gauge up really fast, and it looks so stylish.
Insane. Dude, that is insane. It just feels like the Longsword is just like so powerful. How can a move like this raises your gauge and it only costs 1 wire bug? It just doesn't make sense to me. Even the hail cutter on the gun lance that reduces like a little bit of wyvern fire is like 2 bugs. How does that even make sense? I don't understand.
Yeah. And, and I do love that they said that, like Hunter Arts, they said as you progress in the game and do stuff, you'll unlock. They are not all unlocked at the beginning of the game. There are things that you unlock later. So it's not like the Hunter Arts, I think, where we had like different levels that we had to unlock. But I love the idea that these are probably tied to quests. They said once you do something in the game, the instructor will have like a little mark on his head and say, "Hey, I got something new to teach you." And then they'll teach you. But I'm hoping and I'm assuming that they're going to do their best to theme this after the monsters. Like, remember in Generations, like, if you fought a monster that was really fast to hit back, like, then you would get, like, the counter attack for a weapon. So it was very intuitive, right? Like, you feel like, oh, my hunter's learning from fighting these monsters.
But basically that means villager requests. However that happens to work in this game. You get your villager requests, and then eventually when you complete certain ones, it's like, oh, here you go. Boom, done. Now you know how to do this new art. I do hope that it is a little bit more intuitive in terms
early.
of... Not relative. It doesn't have to be relatively early, but just a little bit more intuitive than it was in Generations, because some of the quests were really obscure. Like, I remember... particularly for Sword and Shield, constantly having to look up, dude, what the hell gives me like the next oil thing? And some of them were crazy. Like, I still don't have Chaos Oil 3 because that's some crazy ass quest chain that you have to go through.
Silver Gold, yeah.
It's something crazy like that. It was insane. But yeah, I hope it's at least a little bit more intuitive, and there's like stuff in the game that actually tells you, hey, listen, if you want to get this thing, or there's some clue, some thread that you can pull from inside the game so that we don't have to constantly go outside to a third-party website.
Yeah, so they didn't do this in the English one, but once the Japanese stream is up, they actually were doing a full demonstration in the training area of the hunter going in, changing out the skills, showing what that looks like, how the UI. They did all of it like on engine, so that'll be interesting for people.
They showed us how to change the switch skills, and that you can actually do it in the field. You just straight up go into the tent and you can change it.
Yeah, you gotta do it at your equipment box. Yeah.
Yeah. You go there and you change it. So let me tell you about the charge blade. So
wait, did they do that during a hunt?
Yes.
Because in the Japanese one, they only showed it in town.
No, in the English one, you go into the hunt where there was only one hunter hunting Gosarak with a charge blade. Yeah. And he goes into the hunt, goes into the tent.
Oh.
And in the tent, he goes to the item box, he swaps the skills around, and then goes on to hunt Gosarak. And that's how I got to see all of the charge blade skills.
Yeah, very nice.
The first one that you can
Tell me about the charge blade.
The first one you can change is Condensed Element Slash. Do you remember which that one is?
No.
It's the one where you charge the one where you charge the sword. So first you have to charge the shield.
The thing
then you charge the sword into the shield, and then there's an attack that he does after it. That's the Condensed Element Slash. So you replace that, and you get something called Condensed Spinning Slash, and that is basically Savage Axe Slash.
Savage Axe.
It's not exactly Savage Axe because it does the opposite of what Savage Axe did in terms of files. Because Savage Axe would consume files while it was active. This one generates files while it's active, which is kind of weird. But basically, yeah, you charge it the same way. You do the exact same thing, except instead of getting a charged sword, you whoop out the spinning axe and you can start swinging with it. I don't know exactly how that's going to work out, but you do the same
sound effects for that was so cool. The
like spinning.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And I love the animations on it. Very, very good. So for anyone that was concerned about Savage Axe, you get some version of Savage Axe. Now, the other one that you replace is Morph Slash. That's the one where you swap from sword mode into axe mode. You know, the attack, the blocking and X.
Yeah, interesting. What do you get for that?
You get counter Morph Slash. And it's
weird.
What
does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's really weird.
Wait, counter Morph Slash? What does that mean?
So the Morph Slash is just the regular Morph Slash that we know, and it goes both ways. So you Morph Slash into axe or you Morph Slash into sword. That's the basic move we all know from World.
Yeah, and it's got the guard points on the top and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Counter Morph Slash, kind of the same thing, but supposedly it's got easier guard points. So it'll be easier for you to do guard points on. And I think that means you're going to have bigger animation commitment because the skill didn't really describe it all that well. And it's just something that you have to test out with both modes in the game to figure out exactly what the difference is. But one of the things that Counter Morph Slash does that Morph Slash doesn't is if you get a guard point, your next, I think, Super Amped Elemental Discharge is going to deal additional damage. So it's really made for you to just like straight up counter the
Jesus
attack.
Christ, it's spam style.
Yeah. So long as you got files, you can just like go at it and boom. That's the idea that I get. I mean, I was just reading both of them, and from reading, I was like, I don't see why I would ever use Morph Slash instead of Counter Morph Slash. So that's why I'm saying I have to actually get into the game. It must
be much slower. There's no way it's going to be similar.
It's got to have some kind of a drawback to it, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense for Morph Slash to even be there anymore.
Well, but this goes into my theory though that it works really well. Then that the integral part of the weapon is the morphine, and the fact that they're changing it, this feels like a big change.
Yeah,
like it'll change how you play it.
I don't know if it's going to change that much, because even like in World, when you saw people doing speed runs, most people were using the guard points to go into Super Amped. So it just feels like Counter Morph Slash is better. That's just the thing.
Well, sign me up for the spinning slash, man. I want a pizza cutter, people.
The condensed spinning slash.
Kidding me? Yeah. That looks so fun.
And then the third one is the one that's on the official website, which is you can exchange counter peak performance for Axe Hopper. So the silk bind that is basically the one you can't change is the silk bind that I like the least about the charge blade, which is that kind of like advancing slash, advanced morphing slash, whatever they called it. That was the one thing that I didn't really like.
Well, then can you imagine if you were... I'm confusing myself. Hang on a second. So wait, what was the two again?
So you have
counter
peak performance.
I hate the name counter peak. What is counter peak performance? Oh, it's the one that fills you up.
Yeah, it fills up the files of the charge blade.
Okay, so you get the full charge guard,
and then you have
what else? Or you get the super aerial cool attack, right?
Yeah, or you get the Axe Hopper, which is the one where you're just like whee, and then finishes in the super amped element. It's so brutally stylish. I love it. But then here's the interesting thing, though. If you think about it, like, so counter peak performance gives you files, right? But condensed spinning slash also gives you files. So if instead of using condensed element slash, which charges your sword, you go for condensed spinning slash, you can get more files, therefore reducing how important counter peak performance is. See? And you start to see some kind of synergy there.
The spinning slash, though, you're getting files in axe mode, so that it's going to require you to be good at morphing back and changing, then morphing back. So it's going to be a very morph heavy play style, which I actually really like the idea behind that. So you have like one is like the standard, like use the sword, kick some ass. You don't always have to have your axe out to do something, or you've got the play style where you just go freaking ham with the axe, and then you have the play style where morphine is very much an integral part of it. I love that. That's great.
Yep.
It's hunter styles, man, but it's
different. You get to
like,
pick and choose the stuff that you want and kind of like combine it. It's going to be interesting when you layer.
I was trying to find the English word. It was a buffet. I had the Japanese word in my head, which is the funniest freaking word. If you ever come to Japan, they call it a Viking.
A Viking.
A Viking. I'm like, what? Are the Vikings like a big burly man eating? Why do they call it a Viking? Like a Viking is what they call when you go and there's an all-you-can-eat buffet, like a restaurant.
It's because the Vikings used to raid. So basically, you go in there and you raid that buffet. Dude, it makes perfect sense.
It's so funny, right?
That makes perfect sense. I don't know what you're talking about. So in the official website, they give us all of the other, well, not all of the changes, but they give us one change per weapon. They give us the Silkbind one.
It's always the Silkbind one, right? They didn't talk about the
normal
stuff we've seen though in the trailers. Yeah,
we've seen some of them. So we can quickly go over
guard for Lance. Come on, man.
Okay, so I'm going to go by order, though. So we already talked about Longsword and Charge Blade, so I'm just going to remove those from my list when they show up. But I do have everything here in order. So the first one, obviously, Greatsword. And you get Adamant Charge Slash. And people are saying that this is... I don't know if this is supposed to be the one that shows up on the trailer. I don't think it is. Because they say that this one is a technique using a wire bug to dash forward and deliver a strong charge slash. In the trailer, there's a move that they show with a Greatsword, but he doesn't dash forward. He just kind of like does this guard thing. The monster comes and then he counters it with a charge. So I'm assuming that's going to be like some kind of basic movement swap, that you're swapping it for something.
What is the what's the name in English for this?
Adamant Charged Slash.
Adamant. Okay, interesting, because in Japanese they're using very specifically the name that they use for the armor skill Rocksteady. They're calling it the Rocksteady Charge Slash. It's
do they say that? Do they say that you dash forward?
Yeah. So it's a two-step move. So one, it dashes you forward, so you can. It's probably really easy to get into position. So it gives you a very fast front dash, and then you go into what they say in Japanese is a very firm stance for your strong charge. And when they say firm, they mean that you can't get knocked out of it, which I think is awesome.
Then it does sound like the one that we see in the trailer.
Gung-ho friendly.
It does sound like the stuff that we see in the trailer, but in the trailer I don't see a dash forward. He just kind of like
they didn't show the dash. Yeah, that they just didn't. That's just editing. They just didn't show the dash.
The thing that this replaces is Hunting Edge, and to me, I was like, "Oh, good, get rid of Hunting Edge." I hated Hunting Edge.
Yeah, I was not I didn't like.
I don't think anyone that plays Greatsword was a fan of Hunting Edge. I think Hunting Edge is going to be like, "Oh, gone forever, peace out, dude." They got to do something about that.
Tell me which hunt gives me this. Make a video. Profit. Stonks, man. Like that's all people want to know is how do I get my adamant strong charge?
Yeah, because the thing about that I noticed with Hunting Edge when I was trying to do my Greatsword video was that instead of using Hunting Edge, I would actually power sheath my weapon and then use regular wire bug moves to get an aerial attack in instead of using Hunting Edge. That's how bad I thought it was. I really didn't like it. But yeah, that is
one thing to keep in mind here though is you have to have your weapon. I'm assuming that critical draw will not work on adamant charge slash because it's a wire bug skill, which means technically your weapon's coming out first. I don't if it does apply, that's going to be crazy. Crit draw?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't think it will. Because you can draw your weapon without attacking, but at that point it doesn't count for crit draw anymore, does it?
Yeah. No, but I mean I love the description because like it sounds like you're still going to take damage, but it's a strong charge that's very hard to get interrupted. That is sexy. Are you kidding me? Like there's so many people like myself. I'm not that good at the Greatsword, but I like to play it. It's a feel-good weapon. This skill was made for me.
Unga bunga. So
I love it.
Oh my god,
so
dude.
cool.
Okay, so this next one. So the next one is the Sword and Shield. And we get Metsu Shoryugeki. This is straight out of Street Fighter because I remember Ryu getting some moves where it would go like Metsu Hadouken, and it's the same thing.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's Metsu Shoryugeki, and basically this replaces the windmill move that he spins the kunai around, and
that's such a good move though.
You do the uppercut, like that's it. You just do the uppercut from friggin' GU. But the difference here is, in GU when you had the level 3 of the uppercut, you would go up and then you would come back down with the shield. I think you get to choose. I think in here you get to choose the attack that you do after you reach the
the going down, it seems like you get a choice.
Yeah.
Because the attack itself is just the upward motion. Yeah. And then the website says that it's got a guard point at the very start of the animation, and if you hit it, it does more damage.
I don't think it had a guard point in GU, did it?
I don't know, to be honest.
I highly doubt it had a guard point. If it did, I don't remember it. But I love the fact that it's got a guard point. I'm going to be spending all of my time trying to land guard points with this thing. And let me tell you right now, I 100% believe that in terms of like meta, in terms of being efficient, the windmill is going to be a better skill to use. But I'm still going to use Shoryugeki.
I think it's the other way around because like with the Greatsword, I imagine.
What do you mean Greatsword?
Well, hang on.
Sword and Shield.
I'll group it. No, wait a second. So like with the Greatsword, I feel like the adamant strong charge is not going to be as meta as Hunter Edge. I have a feeling that Hunter Edge is going to be ultimately more powerful.
Yeah.
Because of just the time it takes. This I feel is the opposite. I think the Shoryugeki is going to be much more meta and efficient for those who really are good with the weapon. Where the windmill is just, it feels to me almost like the adamant, which is like, it's a very beginner friendly, very high utility skill.
Yes. I don't know. I'll have to see, but I'm definitely going to be using Shoryugeki because it's so stylish. I would use Shoryugeki every chance that I had in GU because it was so damn good.
See, I would probably just whiff it. So I'm sorry. I'm going to go with the windmill. But you got to admit, it's a bittersweet.
You'll whiff in style, though.
But I'll die.
Doesn't matter. Go out in a blaze of glory.
Oh, man.
I mean, you got to remember, I play a gun lens.
That's still going to feel a little hard, though, isn't it? Taking the windmill and saying, I'm so sorry. I'm going to put you aside for a second here.
Yeah, windmill is actually a really good skill because it reminds me of what was it called? Round Slash? No, it wasn't Round Slash. Round Force. Because it reminds me of Round Force.
For like certain monsters, and this is really good that you mentioned that you can change this in the camp, because can you imagine like you're going up against a Basarios in the middle of a quest? Like that would be really nice to have the windmill. Like when you see him about to blow up, you just hit the button and boom, you're fine.
Yep. Hey, you can do the guard point with the thing as well. Well, it depends on how many invincibility frames you have with it.
This is just convincing me. I think the new meta that I'm going to play for this game, and we talked about this, is going to be guard up. Think about it. All
Oh.
these cool little, like we were talking about this, right? The counter for sword and shield, all these little guard points for all these weapons. Guard level 5 and guard up is going to be OP, man. It's going to be a comfy way to play the game, I think.
So next up, we have dual blades. They get Tower Vault, which swaps with Piercing Bind. Piercing Bind is a little kunai thing that you stab into the monster and then it explodes.
Ooh, that's a tough sell. Ooh.
Yeah, that is a tough sell, particularly because of what it does. It launches you upward, so this is a very easy way to get to that Beyblade attack, where you do nice. off the back of the monster. But the thing is, I can already do that if you basically just, you sheath your weapon, jump up using the wire bugs, press R2 mid-air, and then press A, you can do the Beyblade.
Yeah, but this one, you can have your weapon out and do it. So if you see an opening, you don't have to put your weapon away. You just go for it.
But I don't know, dude, because it doesn't do anything else. It just throws you in the air. So in a way, it's also very good for evading. It almost gives you the same thing that you can get with like an insect glaive, where you can, at any point in time, into the air I go.
Yeah, because this is a great evasion move. You could just jump in the air and be like, see ya.
Yeah. So
I like this.
And it gives you the opening to do the Beyblade attack. But I don't know. This one is going to be very dependent on what you are fighting. I don't think this is going to be something where, I'm going to just use this one because it's better. Because Piercing Bind, particularly, if you look at the speed runs for dual blades particularly, it's just Piercing Bind spam. Piercing Bind, Piercing Bind, Piercing Bind.
Yeah, well, I mean, the demos, I think, are so wildly off when it comes to the final game balance, so I don't know about that. But this feels really balanced, though. Like, you've got the really powerful in-your-face attack, or you get a really, like, again, a utility move here, which can be used aggressively because, as I mentioned before, I think they're making Elemental much more viable and much more important in this game because everything points to Elemental stuff. Like, the fact that even they took away attack up, I think, from Mizutsune's Hunting Horn was shown in the Japanese stream. It doesn't have, it has negate elemental blights and stuff like that. Like, it's just, they've changed the songs for it, which is cool. But imagine the amount of hits that you could do with this. This could be really good for elemental play for dual blades. Being able to get in the air and to do that move a lot. And that's...
Go ahead.
No, it's like the longsword. Like, the dual blades gets a counter and it gets an evasive upward move. That's amazing.
Yeah. And while we're talking about the dual blades, we have to talk about the design of these dual blades. Dude, the Almudron dual blades, they're basically, we realize this is more of an audio thing. A lot of people listen in the background, so we're not actually showing video, don't worry. But these look like chakrams, high-tech chakrams. They look friggin' amazing, and they spin around and stuff while you're attacking. It looks really good. It's nice to not see, I don't think we've seen any bits on sticks yet. All of the weapon designs look very unique, as do the armors.
I think maybe like Kuroyaku felt a little bit like that, but that's because it's like one of the beginning monsters of the game. So
yeah, but like the Almudron stuff looks amazing. Even the hammer. I'm not sure if you've paid attention to the hammer. When you charge the hammer, the wheels on the hammer spin. It's so good. I love the little details with this. The Almudron stuff is looking freaking amazing. I don't think they've shown the gun lance yet, have they? I got to see what that gun lance looks like. I got to see what that looks like. But yeah, it's pretty hype. Now, this one is for you, sir. This one is the lance. Really? So tell me about it. How do you feel about this?
Okay, well, then again, my whole feeling about the lance changed the moment I saw Adept Guard is in the game. Like that as a switch skill. Are you kidding me? That is a game changer. As someone who played Adept Lance heavily, the cross, what is it? The cross
attack,
I don't know what they call it in English. It's so powerful. Oh my God. That thing is so good. It's not, people don't have to realize it's not just about the counter. It's about being able to do that cross is huge for the weapon. So that immediately makes me more interested. And now Anchor Rage I could see why people like it a lot. Like the I'm using Japanese names. I don't know the English names. Maybe it's called Anchor Rage, but it
is Anchor Rage, yes.
But it doesn't last long, so you have to do it a lot. It's more like a more spontaneous thing, which I can see people really enjoying, but for me, I'm just too lazy. I I would have wanted it to be longer. So I could swap that out already. I'm happy because wasn't a huge fan of it, even though it's powerful. This is another one of those comfy skills. You put up your shield, you can't really get hit, and you're just like zoop, 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 like running around with like sign me up, like crowd control. Like if there's gonna be a bunch of annoying little monsters, I'm just gonna knock this thing on there. You gotta remember, we just did the Witcher, the Leshen quest in Iceborne again last night.
Oh, right.
And it reminded me how much I hate Jagras, like the little Jagras running around. If I had a skill like this at my disposal, oh good God, it'd be over.
This skill was actually shown in, I think, the first trailer.
The first trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This and the Gunland skill, which I think is probably the next one that's going to be coming up, but they were shown in the very first trailer. We didn't even know what those skills were. It's freaking insane. But yeah, I'm happy that you like it. I don't know, dude. I really liked Anchor Rage. The problem was, I remember that sometimes I would mistake the counter because you get two counters essentially. You have your typical counter, which is just if I remember correctly, ZR and A, and then you have the other one, which is ZL and A, and it's like, and sometimes I would do it and I wouldn't have the bugs. And I'm like, damn it, I should have done the other one. It's like, ugh. So yeah, I can see that, but I don't know because I think Anchor Rage is more powerful. In the long run, Anchor Rage is probably more powerful.
Yeah, so I think we've got one comfy skill and one power, like more advanced power skill, and it's really interesting to see that the flipping, like they're showing off, like one that we have in the demo is the one, and the other one's the comfy one. It's like it's different for every weapon. I like it. I like.
Okay.
However, it's a little sad that they're not letting me swap out the other skill, which I really didn't like.
Which one was the other skill? The twin vines. Yeah, the twin vines.
Yeah, but whatever. It's okay.
I think that skill is one of those that will grow. That will grow to you. The same way that
see it in the game.
I remember when we first talked about Insect Glaive, and I was like, man, screw Heal Kinsect. This thing sucks. And now when we get to Insect Glaive and we talk about the new skill, I'm like, now screw that. I want Heal Kinsect.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this one.
Okay, so the next one is the Gun Lance, and we get a new skill called Ground Splitter. This one was also in the first trailer. It's the one where he like throws himself against Great Azuchi and he swipes near the ground, creates flames, does some crazy stuff. I didn't realize it did all these things when we first saw it. But this switches out with Hail Cutter, which is the move that sends the gun lance upwards and then down into a slam and reduces the cooldown of Wyvern Fire. So what this one does is it uses a wire bug to move forward, jump into a vigorous upward slash, scraping the gun lance on the ground for style. It heats up the barrel and temporarily increases the damage dealt by shells, wormstake shots, and Wyvern's Fire. Now, the one concern that I have about this skill is that it doesn't say anything about it being like a guarded attack.
A counter?
A guarded attack. Like, I just want it to be able to block. Not even be rock steady. Like, you could stagger me out of it, but I want it to be able to at least block while I'm doing it. But that doesn't seem like that's going to be a thing. I'm not sure if the Japanese says anything about that. I would assume no.
It doesn't, but I remember in the very first trailer, it looked like he got hit with the Izuchi tail. I don't know if he guarded before he did it or if it was part of the attack. I don't know.
Yeah, I seem to remember something like that as well, which is why I thought initially that it was going to be something along those lines, but I guess not. But here's the way that I interpret this particular skill. You use the Hail Cutter for normal shelling, because that gives you access to full burst, and it also reduces the not long. I would use Hail Cutter for normal, and that's probably it. And then I would use Ground Splitter for the other two types because it increases the damage dealt by the shells, the individual shells. But if you're doing
long type, I thought long type was like the Wyvern Blast was like really powerful for that.
That's the thing. I don't know which one is going to be for this one. If it's going to be GU, then yes, long is really powerful Wyvern Fire. But if we're going off of world, wide is the powerful Wyvern Fire in world.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's weird. They changed it in World because since I never got too deep into Gunlance in the previous games. Like, sure, I played Gunlance here and there, but like World was the one where I really got deep with the Gunlance. I was like, no, this is the one that I'm going to master. Boom, done. And so to me, it was always, okay, long shelling is charged shells. Wide shelling is spam shell and strong wyvern fire. And it turns out that in previous games, it was the other way around. So like charged shells was like a wide thing in the previous games.
Yeah.
And long shell was the one that had the strongest wyvern fire. So I don't know which one is going to be in this one. I believe that someone data mined and they spoiled me in one of my comments saying that it was going to be like the old games. So if that is the case, then wyvern fire will be more powerful with long shelling, but I still don't know 100% which one it's going to be. But I still think that depending on the playstyle that you do with long, ground splitter might end up being the more effective one.
Yeah, that's the way I read it. Was I thought that, normal, definitely hail cutter, wide, definitely the ground splitter, and then long, either or, depending on how you like to play the weapon.
Yeah, I think it might be something along those lines. But I think one of the things that we're definitely going to be seeing is wide ground splitter and spam wormstake shots. Because if you can increase the damage at the wormstake shot, it's one of the most used skills in speedruns because it's so powerful. And to top it off, if you're using it with wide, you get stun damage. So there's just a lot of reasons to use ground splitter with wide. And not to mention it's stylish as hell to scrape your gun lance at the ground. Why are you scraping your gun lance? I'm heating up my barrel.
What do you say? Those aren't particle, those are drips of style.
Yeah, drips of style, exactly. But I'm super excited because that's two things that we know now about the gun lance. It's this, and we know the blast dash one. So there's going to be another thing that is going to change, and it's going to be a basic move. So I'm hoping that it's quick reload.
Oh, yeah, that'd be interesting.
If we get a change in quick reload to get a guard point, like in GU, so picture it like this. Picture it like this. You have your regular quick reload, which I think right now reloads all shells. I'm pretty sure that in the demo reloads all shells.
It does, yeah. It doesn't reload the wormstake.
The wormstake, which it didn't do in World either. So imagine this: you get your regular quick reload reloads all your shells, and then you get a reload with a guard point, does not reload all of your shells, but gives you access to stuff like slam, just like you had in GU if you landed at the right time.
No, that would be drip. That would be stylish. Oh my god, yeah.
But I don't know. They might have already shown it in the trailer, and I'm spacing out on it. The other move that they swapped, but I don't think they showed it for the. But yeah, that's the gun lens stuff.
Now we can go to the hammer. The I want to be a switch axe move.
Yeah, I know. It definitely feels like that, doesn't it?
I want to move like that too. Okay, you get a move. He gets a move. So it's what is it called in English?
The dash breaker.
Okay, so so it's basically instead of charging up and jumping in the air, you get to charge and go forward, and you can't get knocked out of the charge. You get like some super armor. So it's basically a charged version of the switch axe attack, which I like a lot. So sign me up. I'm happy with that.
That switch axe attack is freaking beast. It's so much like the switch axe attack that the first time I saw this, I thought the weapon was a switch axe. You thought it was a switch axe.
Same here. I thought the exact same thing.
The invincible gambit from the switch axe. But yeah, it's interesting that they say the attack damage is negated because in Invincible Gambit, in English, that's what it says. Any enemy attack damage is negated while launching forward.
It doesn't say that in the Japanese. That seems like it might be either. I think that might be. I think that's a mistranslation because it says in Japanese, it negation not in the idea of like the damage. What it does is it makes it so you can't be stopped. You are not. Yeah, it says that you're able to withstand it.
Okay, so you won't get
knocked back.
It's rock steady.
It's rock steady. Yeah.
Yeah. Because a lot of people were saying in my comment section, "Oh, did you notice that the damage is negated?" And I was like, I instantly interpreted it as being rock steady, and then I came back here and I saw, it actually says that there's no damage, but it's probably wrong.
Rock steady, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the Rocksteady
Yeah,
effect.
it's one of the I gotta say the English is a little funky in some areas sometimes, so hopefully that can get smoothed out. But
Yeah.
luckily we have both languages, so we can check them.
Yeah, it's a good thing that you know how to speak
Yeah,
Japanese.
and then again, honestly, Monster Hunter has never, even in Japanese, they always have an issue where they're not very specific. So sometimes you really do have to see it in the game because it says something like, "Oh, it does this," but then you actually play it and you're like, "Oh, it does this as well." I didn't know that. So
But I think that Dash Breaker is going to be one of those things that is going to be somewhat situational. In some situations, you'll want Spinning Bludgeon. In other situations, you'll want Dash Breaker because Spinning Bludgeon is just a really cool skill. So, yeah.
yeah,
But then again, you can also access Spinning Bludgeon by sliding. So,
that's true.
literally the only weapon that can do it, by the way. I wonder if that's a switch move. You can swap the sliding attack. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We'll have to figure that out. But yeah, that's the hammer one. Then we have the Bead of Resonance.
This is as weird in Japanese as it is in English. This is one of those moves. I have no idea what this thing does. I'm intrigued because it sounds bizarre as hell.
This one replaces Earthshaker, if I remember correctly, is the one that you stab the monster with the insect glaive with the hunting horn.
Strum it, yeah.
And then you turn around, strum it, and it does an explosion. Instead of that, you put a wire bug cocoon on the ground. If the same hunter generates melody effects, the effect also appears around the cocoon, so you can buff people at a distance. I'm just wondering what the distance is. So can I place this thing down and then go to the other side of the map and buff people from across the map? Is this like a corner horner thing where you can literally go into a different area and still buff people?
Wait, what does it say in English?
Places a wire bug cocoon on the ground. If the same hunter generates melody effects, the effect also appears around the cocoon, as does a sonic wave that damages monsters near it.
Interesting.
Does it say different in Japanese?
No, I guess it's the same. The distance didn't seem to stick out to me at all. It just says that when you place the cocoon on the ground, it'll reverberate and play your melodies, and it also does shockwave attacks. So if you place it near a monster, you can go ham. It probably just damages the hell out of it.
That's the first thing that you think about. You just put it in a monster when he's down. It's going to be useful for the shockwave stuff.
Boom, go crazy.
It's really cool. But my thought was like, what is the range on this? Can I be buffing people from across the map if I place it down? How long does it last? You know, that's the thing that I started thinking. Can I be in a different zone and buffing people that are over here?
But then again, buffs are so easy to do now with the hunting horn that I almost think that is like, I mean, you could do a buff in 2 attacks, like you're done. You know,
people were telling me that this could potentially be more useful in a rampage scenario, but I'm like, I don't know. I feel like the range of the hunting horn is pretty reasonable. I've never been in a situation where I'm like, oh, you were too far away, unless someone was just straight up not in the same fight as me.
No, because when the hunter plays a song, it triggers the cocoon to go bwong, like, and create the sound wave. So if you put a little cocoon like right there, like 1 or 2 of them right in the entrance of the gates, and then you're just sitting up top going bam, 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 like playing, and it just starts blowing up like bombs, like that'll be really fun.
It's the speaker. The cocoon is a speaker for your guitar.
That's the subwoofer. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a subwoofer. It's an amp. It's an amp for your guitar, guys. That's what it is. The Bead of Resonance.
Yeah, because it's playing the same song, which is great because that means that you don't run out. I imagine it renews it, and also, yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I don't know how useful that is because you are playing the melody and everyone else is getting it. So
yeah, it's weird. This is one of those skills that we have to see in action to really get a good idea.
Interesting.
The next one is the Switch Axe, and it better be hella good because it switches Invincible Gambit, which is that one move that we friggin' love in the Switch Axe. It's that one move that you can just like go to town until you die and you barely realize, wait, I was taking damage? What do you mean?
Read the description. It's that good.
Uses a wire bug to fly up while slashing, ending in a forward slash from midair. If the forward slash is successful, the weapon's activation gauge fills up. A large explosion goes off where it connected.
Okay, so one, they have a translation mistake here. they're talking about the amped gauge. They're not talking about activation. They're not talking about the sword mode. They're talking in Japanese. It's very specific. They're talking about the amp. They're talking about it greatly increases the charge of the amp gauge, which, as you know from the demo, it's not nearly as spammy as it was in Iceborne, right? So like trying to get that amp gauge up is going to be a very big deal. So being able, if you land this attack with the sword, which this is a sword, with the other one is more of an axe attack. If you land it, you get a shit ton of amp gauge buildup, and you get file blasts as well. Sold.
So you want to know? Did you notice how they use this in the trailer? They use this off of a zero-sum discharge. So they zero-sum discharge into the monster's face, and as they're reeling back, they triggered the Soaring Wyvern blade to go back into the attack. Either that, or I misread that completely, and somehow the Soaring Wyvern blade has a component that looks like zero-sum discharge. But in the trailer, it seemed to me like you zero-sum discharge, and the jump back, they activate Soaring Wyvern blade midway, and it looked friggin' crazy.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like something that you can just, wow, so you could trigger it in the air?
You can trigger it midair, yeah. Pretty sick. Exactly.
Oh my God, because you can just wire bug off a cliff and then just immediately go like sword in the face. Like, are you kidding me? This is a game changer.
It's a beast. But I still don't know, dude. Because Invincible Gambit is so good all of the time because you can spam it. So this is a really big decision. But
because I have decided that Switch Axe is going to be my main going through story.
Oh, I thought you were thinking about the lance the way that you were talking about the lance.
I want to, but no, I've mained it before. I can't. And I've mained Switch Axe before, so that's not fair either. So
yeah, see, you should main the gun
Switch
lance.
I'm going Switch Axe.
What about the gun lance though? Did you get Yuna to play the gun lance, by the way?
Yeah, she's actually killed, slayed, annihilated. She's beaten Mizutsune with every single weapon.
So how'd she like the gun lance?
It was okay. That's what she said.
Okay, fine. Well, there's only a person can only be so perfect,
I'll tell you right now though, like in World and Iceborne, I've been playing a lot of gun lance because man, the Fatalis gun lance is so comfortable.
It is a beast.
I put on evasion level 3 and holy shit.
Yeah.
The gun lance feels so good with evasion 3.
It is.
So I'm gonna give some love here. The gun lance is fun as hell in Iceborne. And the fact that this one is probably taking after that, I'm actually really interested in playing gun lance this time.
This one feels better. Like the one that we had in the demo already felt better to me personally.
So I'm not gonna knock gun lance this time. I'm actually quite a fan. I think it's gonna be fun.
So the next one was gonna the next one was gonna be the Charge Blade, but we already talked about the Charge Blade at the start, so we're gonna swap it into Insect Glaive.
Charge Blade.
Insect Glaive. Diving Wyvern is what they're calling this skill. It switches with Recall Kinsect. And I'm not switching Recall Kinsect. Forget about it. I don't care what skill you dangle in front of me. I'm not switching Recall Kinsect.
So I thought this was a really smart balancing move, right? Because the Recall Insect allows you to be super aggressive with the bug. You can use it to just spam and hurt a monster. You can for the dust and everything. Or now you can use a lot of stamina to do this. I'm assuming that this will eat up a lot of stamina, just like it did in. What
do you mean stamina? Bugs.
Iceborne.
This uses bugs.
Bug stamina.
Yeah,
or maybe the bug's not involved at all here. I don't know.
It is involved because you actually throw the bug down and then pull yourself to go faster down. They say that the attack has a small damage radius, but that means the damage is highly focused. So it's going to be pretty beast. They even say a devastating dive attack.
I was just say it sounds in Japanese. It sounds like they're making it powerful.
Yeah, so this is going to be a beast of an attack. I believe in Iceborne, this was actually the strongest attack on the Insect Glaive, and it was actually comparable.
Was so powerful.
It was actually comparable to some other weapons like really big attacks. I'm talking like Greatsword, but you could some other weapons attacks. It would be worth it to. I seem to remember that people who played Insect Glaive told me that This was worth considering for wake up attack when compared to certain weapons because it was that good. And I was like, all right, I'm take your word for it.
Now, what's interesting about this one is I think this might function like the switch axe attack, where you can actually do this from the ground, and the move itself will throw you in the air. It says in the Japanese, you will jump up in the air and then do the downward strike. So you can almost like use this as a counter, like, oh, a beam's coming at me, boop, trigger it. It'll jump you in the air, and then it'll do the attack all in one.
If you can do that,
maybe you can activate this in the air. If you're already in the air, you can just use it to just go downward.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's going to have a lot of utility.
I figure that's probably what it will be mostly used for, because that's definitely how we did it in Iceborne. But yeah, I don't know what it's going to be like if you activate it from the ground. It's interesting. But yeah, I'm not changing Recall Kinsect. It's too good. Recall Kinsect is just such a beast of an evasive maneuver that I just started like evading everything when I started using that. I'm not getting away from that now. It's too good for me. But, you know,
yeah, for me, this is going to be a situational thing. I think depending on the monster, I'll change which one I would use.
Yeah. But, you know, a lot of people were asking, where's the diving attack? Here you go. You have to. And considering that a lot of people also said they hated Recall Kinsect, it shouldn't really be a big deal. Just remove Recall Kinsect. Yeah. There's a diving attack. Boom, done. Insect glaive fixed.
Lightbogen.
The fanning maneuver. Well, tell me about it.
So this replaces the upward jump one, right? Where you jump upwards and then you can shoot your stickies and shoot shots below you, which is a great move. So this is basically like, if that's the vertical version, this is the horizontal version. So this is the one we saw in the very first trailer where you use it to sort of slide across, you slide a certain direction, and then you can use a rapid shot and stuff like that. But the thing is, it also buffs your hunter. So it's almost like the Greatsword attack where you
I was thinking Herculean draw on the bow.
Yeah. So it's similar to that. Yeah. So you go ching, and then you get like a power up for a small period of time, or however. Mm-hmm. But being able to slide that much to left and right, and shoot and be safe, that's comfort 101. This seems fun.
I don't know. It's very weird for me because I really like the fanning vault to place the mines in the monster.
Yeah.
Instead of having the mines
that's the
in the
aggressive
ground.
one, right? So I think that's the meta, more like if you're able to get in the monster's face, that'll be more powerful. But this one is going to be pure comfort, being able to just.
I'm not sure which one would be pure comfort. That's the thing. It's like I really like. This one is one of those that if I played Lightbogen, which I don't play that much, it would kind of be hard for me to decide on. I actually think that the meta one would be fanning. I think fanning maneuver would be the meta one because it increases your damage and you rely on the shots of your gun. Whereas the fanning vault for me is more about relying on the mines, which is a more niche type of thing to play around with. So I think fanning maneuver would be the better one, but fanning vault is the one that I like because aerial, shoot down.
Can we have them both, please?
Yeah.
Because I'm not a huge fan of the first Silkbind, which is that one where you jump forward and you do like slicing damage.
I like that one, but I'd prefer to have the two fanning moves as well. Yeah.
I guess if we had both, it would be way too OP. So
yeah, it's like, where's the Lightbogen guy? And I'm like, shwee, going up in the air, going sliding sideways. This is completely crazy stuff, but yeah.
Oh man. So this next one, this is a tough one. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this one.
I actually really liked Counter Shot. But yeah, we're talking about the heavy bowgun, and the name of this one is Counter Charger. It replaces the counter shot on the heavy bowgun, and what it does is it's a parrying skill using wire bugs, absorbs an attack from a monster without taking any damage, will shorten the amount of time needed for a charged shot. So this is weird. You think this is going to
see how fast those charge shots were in the trailer? Holy shit!
No, I actually didn't. Even
you probably saw it and you thought it was a light bowgun, or it was charged shots because there's a little red around the hunter. That's the effect of charging, and he's like, boom, 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 and those are all charged shots.
Really fast. So I guess it depends on how long that thing lasts, but. I definitely think that Counter Charger is more powerful than Counter Shot because, I mean, you just look at the description and you're instantly like, yep, this seems better. Counter Shot is just something that I liked to do when I played the heavy bowgun because it was fun. Just like, ting, you even get like almost a cash register sound. Ching, ching, bam, big blast.
Yeah, so the timing here, he's going boom, 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 boom. That's the timing on a charged shot.
Damn.
Like if you charge a shot, it's a significant increase in damage.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, even for sticky ammunition, it was a significant increase in damage, which was surprising to me.
So this is going to be a tough one for me.
And I'm curious.
It all depends on how long that buff lasts for.
I'm curious if this stacks with focus.
Yeah, I'd be interested to find out.
Because
I don't see why it wouldn't, because it says that, for a period of time, it decreases the amount of charge time needed. So I would say, yeah, it sounds like it would.
Yeah, so if this stacks with, or it's one of those things
but
where.
But then again, it's so fast in the trailer, though. It's only like the time it requires you to just slightly hold down the button. It's that short already. So I don't know if it has any difference.
Yeah. But, this definitely seems like the better one to use in most situations. So, yeah. Unless maybe you're fighting something like a Diablos where counter shot could be more useful. I don't know. But
now, I would have loved to see something like this for the gun lance, where you do a special guard and then for a period of time, your charge shells are like boom, 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 boom.
Rapid fire charge shelling, dude. Hell yeah. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That just reminded me. Valor shelling. Oh
yes.
My God. Do you remember Valor shelling? It was
Valor Gun Lance was so good that people like me who don't play Gun Lance played Gun Lance. It was that powerful.
Here's the thing. It's so good in terms of how fun it was. It was actually not powerful at all. I'm sorry. It was really bad. It sucked. In terms of efficiency, it was terrible.
I played Adept Gun Lance. Adept Gun Lance was really fun.
I could never get the timing on the shield right for most of the attacks. Like the timing for Adept Gun Lance was really hard for me. Like I would try to go at it against, say, like a Glavenus, and I would just like get trounced. And then I just be like, okay, fine, here's alchemy style, bitch. And I beat the crap out of him.
That's a huge omission from a shield.
Yeah.
Shields up guy to say that it's the little like woo shield, like the Adept one is hard.
It's weird because timing the monster attack when it's about to hit me was something that I've always struggled with. Like it's in older games, in World I'm much better at it, but in like back to GU I get hit all over the place whenever I was trying to do that. I was like, fine, I'll just play alchemy, be that way.
If you remember, I was messing around with Longsword in the demo trying to get the hang of it, and I finally did get the hang of it, but I find the foresight the hardest for me to do, where I find the parry that you do with the Is counter, that's very easy for me to land every time now. But the foresight, I still can't do it. And I've heard from many people it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Because one's a parry and one is like a counter. And my brain, when I just, the timing is always off when I try to do like a setup counter, I can't do it.
It's the weird thing about the longsword is that you have to constantly be in your attack position, which is why you see so many of the pros, they're constantly doing the poking motion because it's super fast and it keeps you in that position to come with the parry. But I thought Foresight Slash is way easier than the other one. Although I did land the other one quite a few times in the demo as well. So, I mean, landing is a strong word. Like, I would get the effect and not hit the monster. You'd get the slashing effect and not hit anything. And I was like, God damn it.
I have performed the move.
Yeah, I did the move. I just didn't hit anything with it. So,
well, that's funny.
And finally we have the bow. And this one is aerial aim. What's the name in Japanese? Because aerial aim sounds weird, and a lot of the skills in the bow sound weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like, we have focus shot. Herculean draw, I guess, sounds okay, but like focus shot sounds weird as hell. This one's called aerial aim. You'd kind of figure this one should be called aerial shot, because you actually shoot something. It might as well be the other way around. So focus aim and aerial shot. We fixed it. We fixed the bow.
It's weird because like they call it ninami uchi in Japanese, which is almost like when you glare at, like ninami is when you glare at somebody. So it's like a glaring shot, like you're getting up in the air and like bitch, looking down. It's a really hard one to translate. I don't know if I'd call it the aerial bitch stare, but I guess it's bitch. I mean, because itself is not an attack, right? It throws you in the air, and then from there you have a choice. You can do you can do a shot, or you can do a downward attack with the melee. So
They say,
I guess I don't, but aim is weird.
I'll just read it. Can be switched with focus shot, so it's the one that recovers your stamina. An action for firing arrows by jumping straight up with a wire bug. Particularly damaging shots can be fired from mid-air. A close range attack using an arrow can also be aimed directly underneath you. This doesn't seem right.
Yeah,
You said it's a melee attack.
Yeah, so they showed this in the trailer, and they have the screenshot here against the Kezu. But basically, you jump straight up in the air, and then from there, if you want, you can do. It's like the Lightbogen, right? You jump straight in the air, except for the Lightbogen, it shoots you a little bit forward. This one is like straight up, and then you can either shoot arrows or you can go. You can almost do like like the sword and shield, like the shield bash.
Okay.
But you do it with your arrow, and that's really good because that gives you a very good way for like a down monster if you're at the tail and you do this. It gives you a very, very powerful, focused, like very easy to aim melee attack. So I actually like this one a lot.
The
focus
biggest
shot is so good though.
I think the idea that I had when I talked about this one is that you'll use focus shot early in the game, and then you start getting your stamina management skills, and you don't need focus shot anymore, and then you swap to aerial aim.
Or I think cutting tails. This is going to be the skill because all you gotta do is paralysis or knock over a monster, which is easy, and then just use this at the tail and just nail it.
The one thing that I was wondering is if you can do a dragon piercer from the air.
Oh, I can't imagine they would let you do that.
But I want it.
That'd be nice.
That'd be the one thing that I would want out of it. But
drip. Give me that style.
But that is all of the
switch skills. Yeah,
all of the switch skills that we know so far. There might be I think they might have shown one or two more that we might have missed, but that's all of the stuff that's in the website right now. Now,
yeah, they showed more in the trailer, and so there's going to be people who have already dissected it, and like I was mentioning with the lance, you have the adept guard was shown in the trailer, but it's not listed on the website. So lots of fun goodies to play around with. The thing that was a little disappointing was the demo 2, which they announced. I know I'm getting ahead of ourselves here, but that's not going to have any difference in any of the skills. It's going to be essentially the same demo as the first time, just with an added hunt. Which is a little unfortunate because this is such an integral part of the game. I would have loved them to have demoed this off, but in the same thing, the game comes out in this is
2 weeks.
This is not a demo for people thinking if they want to buy the game. This is a demo for people who know they're going to buy the game and they just want to get some hands on.
Yeah, this is. I also think it's a second chance for people that maybe weren't available to play the demo when it initially came out. It's a second chance. It's like, hey, we're close to release. You haven't checked out our game. Maybe you can check it out now. But I do wish that we didn't fight Magnum. Like, I'm going to fight it. It's whatever. But I would rather not. You're not going to do it, though, right?
I asked you, and I said, are we still keeping our stance about not fighting Magnum Malo?
Snap.
She's like, she's like, well, we could hunt it once. That wouldn't ruin it for us.
We can hunt it once. 10 hours later.
I was like, wait, so, okay, we'll fight it once. If we die, that's it. She's like, no, we could beat it once, right? I'm like, but that means we might hunt it like 50 times, honey. I was like, I told you, it's the little devil on the shoulder. It's like, can you resist it?
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, I have to very actively resist for the full game. But I was like, can we actually dab in and do it only once? I don't know. But it seems like now that, because if we had more stuff to do in Iceborne, I think we'd be fine not doing it. But I think we blitz that game so hard that we've run out of stuff to do. And so I actually think we're going to give in, and I think we're going to play it a little bit.
So listen, if you do dip that spoon into the ice cream, if you do dip that spoon into the, you're going to have to share it with me. We have to do one hunt of Magnum Malo, the two of us. We have to do it.
That's true. Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. It's so damn tempting because it's so close we can taste it, and now you're telling me that we can have a teaser. Like it's like the ice cream shops that give you like a little tester, and you can test. You know what you're gonna buy. You already know which ice cream you're gonna buy. But they say, hey, do you want to have a sample of this? And you're like, well, it couldn't hurt. You know,
but let me tell you right now, my stance, if I wasn't creating content on the game, I wouldn't have even watched these 2 days of events.
Oh, damn. Okay.
I wouldn't like that. I don't. If I wasn't creating content for the game, if I wasn't doing it for the specific purpose of creating content and showing it off to people and whatnot, I would not watch. Besides the first trailer, I would be full media blackout and experience everything fresh when the actual game came out. That is what I would do.
Wow. Hardcore, man.
But I don't have that choice. Anyway, so we did all of we were talking about the demo.
Oh, and so trailer, yeah. So they had the Switch skills.
The Switch skills, and then they showed us.
They had other juicy stuff.
They showed us a little bit more of Rampage, and we also got additional Rampage information in day 2. So we're gonna go over all of the Rampage stuff now. So first, up to 5 monsters. I saw 5 monsters on screen at one point. It's not 4. Mm-hmm. Initially, we saw 4. It's almost like they've been teasing it. The first time, you get a glimpse like, that was 3 monsters, right? Yeah, it was about 3 months. Then the other time, it's like, that was 4. I clearly saw 4. And now this one, 5. 5 monsters on screen at the same time. And the amount of stuff we saw, 5 monsters, 4 hunters, 4 buddies, and 2 NPCs.
Helper. And all the bombs and ballista, everything going off. It's like, this RE engine is kind of godly.
It's insane, but let's try to organize our thoughts here a little bit. So first, what is Rampage?
Do you want to walk people on what Rampage is, or should I give it an attempt?
Go for it. Tell us, what is Rampage?
So I don't play these types of games, so forgive me if I'm making a wrong parallel here, but it's essentially a tower defense mode.
Yep.
Like it's a completely different way to enjoy the game. So it's very different from your normal hunt. So you start out, and it's basically it might differ from quest to quest, but it's basically like think of it like 3 waves. So you got wave 1 starts, you get in, and it's like Overwatch. I'm making some really weird examples. I know
it's definitely not Overwatch.
Well, it starts out and you get 100 up to 120 seconds, I think it was, to prepare the arena how you want it before it actually starts. So you get in there and you start prepping it. You go, there's all these different areas where you can choose. Okay, I want an automatic ballista here. I want a cannon here. I want a helper here. You could choose what you want. And it's not just the host. All the hunters can run around setting up the arena how they want it. And then either you run out of time or the host says, okay, I'm going to go trigger it. Then you say, okay, let's start this sucker. That's what I mean by Overwatch. Like you get that prep stage, So like
Overwatch doesn't have a prep stage. What are you talking
they're coming,
about?
Right? Huh?
Overwatch doesn't have a prep stage.
I played it like for 10 hours. I could have swore there was.
Overwatch is just like friggin' Team Fortress.
Was it just like a counter before it starts and there's nothing you can do?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, well, forgive me. My memory is bad. But okay, so you get a prep period before the hunt to set it up, so to say, which I can imagine for some people might seem tedious. I'm sure there's going to be probably an option to just say, okay, just give me a random assortment of whatever.
Yeah.
But setting it up seems fun. And then it starts. So you get wave 1 comes in and the monsters start coming on in. The cool thing is that they showed off in the Japanese demo is that the ballista and the cannons, there's no loading involved at all. You just grab them and they're unlimited. Unlimited ballista, unlimited cannonballs, just go ham on the monsters. They'll automatically reload. There's a bar that goes and it reloads. There's no like picking up ammo and stocking it. Like it's just have fun, shoot the monsters, try to get them back. They can't get to the wall. Because if they get to the wall and they break it, it's quest fail.
That sounds very arcadey. Like one of the things that I actually like about Siege things is the mechanics of like loading weapons. I find that to be somewhat appealing. So I can understand why they wouldn't want to do it because they want the faster action. But there's a little bit of a give and take there. While you give and you just like, oh, it's much faster, just like shoot everything. At the same time, you lose a little bit of that cooperation aspect of like, oh, can you go get me some ammo? Help me load this cannon. Let's shoot this thing. But I get it. I get it because it is
But,
a much more hectic
like,
mode. It's a
when
rampage.
you see how many ornaments there are.
Yeah.
Like you're talking like a dozen of things that you can put around this arena, and using the silk bug to jump between them is going to be really key. Like they showed that off. Like it's very fast for moving from one to the other because you got to keep the monsters back. You've got all sorts of things at your command. You've got like the Dragonators. You've got cannons. Again, it's crazy. But then there's.
Let me just tell you the name of this beautiful thing. One of the most beautiful things that I saw in this trailer. Okay. The splitting wyvern shot.
Splitting wyvern shot.
That's the name of it. Did you see
Nice.
it? The big.
I never saw.
The big fat explosions, like freaking nuclear blast. They didn't show that, and really,
I mean, the things that I remember, they had the explosive bamboos, which were like bombs. They had a Dragonator where there's like 5 of them that shot up at an angle, almost like, like medieval warfare, where you try to stop like the cavalry from coming in. I don't think I saw
that one. I don't think I saw that.
They've got they've got the big triple piercer one, which is crazy. It's like a shish kebab.
No, dude,
there's
listen.
So many different ornaments.
The one that I saw is a big friggin' cannon, almost like the one that was in the arena in Celiana. The rail, whatever that shot, the big
Dragon
worm
Razor,
stick.
whatever.
Dragon Razor, yeah. It was as big as that one, but instead of firing that thing, aiming down, whatever, it was aiming up, and it fires one shell. And this shell, when it lands, it's the biggest explosion you've ever seen ever in Monster. Like the whole screen just fills up. It's like, and then just after the screen fills up, there's still like a big pillar explosion right down the middle, like a nuclear blast. I'm looking at that and I'm like, what? And that is the splitting wyvern shot. You got to get me.
Well,
whatever.
make sure whoever fires that has to have bomber.
It's me.
Like, come on.
It's me. That's mine. Every single time I'm in a rampage, I'm the only one allowed to fire the splitting wyvern shot.
Oh, that is funny.
Dude, that was so good.
So yeah, so to backtrack, so the monsters, you don't carve them. Once you defeat them, they disappear, like they retreat. So the idea is that it's go ahead.
I don't think you actually kill the monsters at all. You just repel them. That seems to be what's happening.
You just repel them.
You always repel
and
monsters.
They literally just disappear in the Japanese when they showed the thing.
And
so they quickly disappear. You quickly make mincemeat out of these guys. But I love I don't know what they're calling it in English, but it's like there's a roar, and it's like, okay, the hunters are charged up for counterattack time.
The counter,
and all the hunters get like
something, yeah,
and all the hunters get like insanely power buffed, and then that's the sign for everybody. Get on the ground, go kick some ass. And so that's when you go down there with your weapon and you start whacking the shit out of the monsters, and you're doing like tons of damage. And then you pass the wave, and then you get another prep phase before wave 2. But the cool thing is between wave 1 and wave 2, depending on the objectives that you clear during the first wave, it's almost like Call of Tirath, where you'll get points for doing certain things. Like, okay, I inflicted a status ailment, I get points. I used a bomb, I get points. I mounted a monster, I get points. Like, you do all these things, those level up your fortress, and then that unlocks new, more powerful stuff that you can use in the next wave. So wave 2, it's like, okay, we're bringing out the big boys.
So I'm curious. This is something that the first time that I saw it, I was debating what it was. Now the second time that I saw it, I'm pretty sure that it is on a per hunt basis. So you don't think that is a permanent upgrade? Yeah. It's per hunt, yeah.
Which I'm happy about. I was kind of thinking it might actually be more like the Gaijin lands before, because the way it was worded on the website was like, do I have to like upgrade my fortress and like the more I play? But no, it's by hunt basis, which is really kind.
And the
so yeah.
In the trailer, they actually showed some of the stuff, and when they went into level 3 or whatever it was, you unlock the Dragonator, you unlock the Defender Cannon,
sorts of stuff.
Which I think that the Defender Cannon will be an automatic cannon, because Defender stuff, I think it just shoots itself. You don't have to be there shooting it.
It's automated. So it's cool. So like they have all these things, like if you want to be, I think in the English interview maybe, they're saying like, can you do Rampage solo? And he said yes. It's actually scales just like a multiplayer quest, which is great.
Very much so.
But because they have all these sub objectives, if you're not that good at the mayhem and you just want to focus on doing like the tasks, like a good tower defense game, I guess, you'll level up the fortress well enough that it just becomes very manageable and easy. And because you have choices to use the Defender series, you don't always have to fire these scenes actively yourself. You can have them, you can set them up. So it seems like it's very beginner, like not beginner, it's very user friendly.
I think that ultimately it is still one of those situations that we talked about, like when we talk about Zora Magdaros. It's one of those things that I just think it's going to be more fun in a multiplayer environment. Like, sure, you can do it solo, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as fun as if you do it with a couple of friends. That's the
I totally agree. Yeah,
that's the idea that I got out of it. So a couple of things here. The first thing that I wanted to ask is, did you notice that there's a time in between each wave? And one of the scenes in the trailer, the time ends and the monsters just leave. So I don't think you necessarily have to repel the monsters as much as you just have to survive.
Well, you have to survive it. Yeah, you got to survive.
You have to survive with your defenses intact, and if you do that, then the monsters bail at the end of each of the things. Which,
you during the hunt, you saw monsters bail if you remove their health.
If you hit them hard enough, they'll bail. But if you just survive long enough, they'll bail at the end of the thing. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I almost wish that's like, you need to survive this amount of time, and then at the end you have to make them leave. You have to, force the repel to happen and not necessarily have it happen automatically. I think I would.
I'm
prefer
a fan
it that
though.
way.
I like it. I like it because it means that you can be more strategic, and like they have the gong, they have shots that will knock a monster back. So instead of having the stress of having to kill these things, so to say, like you could play smarter, so to say. So you play less aggressive but smarter timing wise, and that's another way to win.
Yeah. And also an important thing is that these monsters are going to have their own roles kind of like assigned to them when they show up on the field. So they're going to have icons on top of their heads. If the monster has a red icon, which is like teeth marks, red, those monsters are going to go after hunters. If it's got a blue icon, like a broken gate, that monster is going to go straight for breaking your fortifications and trying to push through the walls and stuff. So they're like your priority targets. And if it has a green icon, these are usually the flyers, and they're going to go after your, what do they call, hunting installations, or your artillery mounts and stuff like that. That's what they're going to go after. So I think
so much going on to the screen.
Yeah.
It's so different. It's so unique. It's like they made their own game. It's its own game.
Yeah, and
it's very different.
I've heard from the feedback from a lot of people like, wow, the UI gets really busy. And I've been telling people, if you've played the demo, you can turn all of that stuff off. Get rid of side objectives. Get rid of your party health if you want to. Get rid of like the stuff that shows up on the bottom right side. You can get rid of everything that you want and make the UI much simpler. So I don't think that's going to be a huge problem. You just got to like customize the UI to suit whatever it is that you want to do. And then did you see, considering that you saw a full Rampage, did every single wave have a major threat?
No, I don't believe so. No.
Okay.
So major threats I think came in during, I want to say wave 2. It's just major threat just means a big ass monster. Like they're really big.
Like in the website, you can actually see a great Azuchi, and the hunter is like the size of its the bottom portion of his leg. I don't know what that is.
They
in
are
English.
they are massive.
They're huge.
Yeah, so they had that, and there's a warning for that. It's so different. It's just its own game. So the fact that they're investing so much of this game into this mode means that they probably made the mode, they played it, and they're really confident that it's fun. And because it's so different.
Is there always an Apex, or can you have like a Rampage without an Apex? Or do you not know?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't know. But it seems like the norm is going to be that there's going to be a strong monster at the end, whether it's always an Apex or they have something else, I don't know. But the Apex hunt was really interesting because when they got to before they got to the Apex, they went to level 3, and that's where they unlocked all the villagers. So they had like Hinoa and Minoto. They had, I think, all the different villagers, like Iori and all of them. They can all be summoned, and they all stay in place, and they basically spam the same attack. They're not going to be running around the field.
Yeah.
You basically use them like an installation, which is really funny, actually.
Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed by that because I was looking forward to having them actually fighting alongside you. I thought that was going to be a really powerful thing, right? Even just from an immersion standpoint, like, wow, I've been doing quests with these guys this whole time.
Yeah.
Now they're here with me fighting. I thought that was going to be really cool, and then they were like, oh, they're going to be almost like a Dragonator type thing. You can use them once, and then that's it.
Yeah, it's like what you were saying. It feels very arcadey, you know, in a way. It's very much a game, which has its goods and bad points to it, but it did feel a little game systemy the way that they appeared. But it's kind of neat that they all have different roles, so depending on who you want to use, they have different things that they can do. They're all doing the same thing. Like freaking Minato and her lance, like she shoots out like this huge like Kushala like wind burst.
Yeah.
I'm like, why can't I have that during a hunt?
No, it's too powerful for you. You're not prepared
It's Wyverian technology, man. I don't have the skills.
So, can you use more than one group of NPCs in one hunt, or can you use? I'm assuming they used Hinoa and Minato, right?
Yeah.
So
I think they mentioned something about it, but I because I couldn't rewatch the stream, and me and Yuna were like just trying to take everything in. It was just too much.
In the English version, they say that the Kimura friends can only be used once per hunt. But I don't know if that means you can only use one set of NPCs, or if you can use 2 or 3 sets of NPCs, but only once per hunt. I think it might just be.
I wish I can go back and see the stream, but
that's it. I think that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, that sounds more likely, but I don't know. I would have to double check the Japanese, which is not up yet as of this point, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're just constantly checking, and because we're waiting to see the Japanese video. I personally want to see the Japanese video because there's so much more there that I didn't get to watch.
I'm actually thinking about if I can find the time. I was thinking about doing a voiceover translation of what they're saying during that whole hunt, and then just putting that on my channel, because I don't know if they plan on doing that in English. Probably not.
Yeah.
And it is something different about seeing something that's not cut. It makes it much easier to understand than seeing something that's edited.
Yeah, the English one was heavily edited, which still leaves a lot of stuff that I'm wondering.
You don't get a feeling for the pace of it, where the Japanese one, it was a full like 15-20 minute like demo. It was interesting. And then they showed off the Apex, which I thought was hilarious because again, they were not apparently meant to show it off. So when Ryozo, the good old serviceman he always wants to drop something. He's like, yeah, let's show it. He says, show the Apex. And then like both the MC and Ichinose were like, huh? Really? What? Okay. That wasn't in the script. Sure. Okay. We'll show it. Thanks. So they showed off a good 2 minutes, or so of fighting him. So Arzuros comes in, he blows up like half the ornaments in the entire area. Like he just blows them up and they're gone. And then he's huge. He goes straight to the gate. He blasts through the first gate. And we find out that the fortress area is not just a single area. There's 2 of them. It's like the Lao Shanlong hunt. You've got this huge area. Then you've got this huge long arrow like pathway, and it leads to a second area.
I mean, I just assumed that was the case. You have one of the comparisons that I made is like, when you do the Zora Magdros hunt the very first time, and he blasts through the first barrier, and then he goes to the second, blast through the second as well. It's kind of the same thing. The difference is that hunt is scripted, so he always blasts through both barriers. There's nothing you can do. And in these ones, you can actually influence whether or not the monsters make it through the barriers. And the closer they get to your base, the higher the chances that you'll lose. I'm also assuming that if you lose the first couple of barriers fast, then they're potentially, things are going to get harder. That's what I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, like the way they showed it, everything was going really smooth, but man, if they can't handle the Apex or they didn't set it up right, man, he just wailed through the area. He just blew right through it. So they were having a really hard time with him because he's so fast, he's so big, and he has moves that the normal Arzuros doesn't have, which was very interesting. And he was just blowing up all of the cannons. Like, he just destroys it. So, like, it feels like a major task to take those guys down. That's exciting.
I'm super excited about that now that you mentioned, because I haven't gotten to see it. I'm so curious.
Yeah, then quality of life wise, they mentioned that you don't have to do the full rampage. He was saying like it's like I'm comparing this to Call or whatever, but he's like you could just pull out in the middle of the second wave if you don't have time or if you need to, and it's not like you're going to walk away with nothing. He says you'll still get points and rewards based upon the objectives that you did complete, although it won't be nearly as rich as finishing the full rampage.
I think it's like
it's not all or nothing.
In GU, the way that you can do the subquest and then you can finish through the subquest.
They have those as well, yeah.
So I would imagine that's kind of like what you do in that situation in the Rampage. One of the things that I thought was really cool was how high the Apex or Zeros can jump. If you see the trail, he just like yeets himself. Whee! Whee! And he lands with a big butt slam. Boom! It's so cool.
It's absolutely bizarre.
And another
he jumps so high he's flat. He's off screen when he jumps.
Yeah, and another thing that this was going to come up when we talked about the interview, but while we're on the subject of Apex or Zeros, something that they confirmed in Ichinose's interview, at least in the English version, which I'm not sure if there's like maybe a translation error there or not, but they asked if the Apex monsters will have unique weapons and armor, and he confirmed it. He said yes. They're going to have unique weapons and armor, and you're going to get special materials from the Rampage, which we kind of already knew. But yeah, that was pretty hype out. The first thing that jumped in mind when I heard that was like deviant sets. Like GU, you get your deviant sets, your Apex sets. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually more excited by the idea that Rampage materials can be used to craft stuff, and I'm curious, or I think he even said stuff like buff your weapons, almost like weapon honing.
Yeah.
And augments. I like that. That sounds nice because, you know me, my big thing is that the more weapons that are viable at the end game, the more happy I am. And if there's a way that you can tweak the power of weapons, that means that we could have more viable choices. That I like. And the Rampage is I mean, if you don't like the Rampage mode, that's gotta suck because like it's such a big part of the game. Like
that's another one of those things that to me, I don't think there's going to be a middle ground in Rampage mode when it comes to the community. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it. I don't think there's going to be people that are going to be like, it's all right. I think most people are going to either love it or hate it. And I actually did a poll on YouTube, and I asked people, now that we know more about Monster Hunter Rise Rampage mode, what are your thoughts? And I gave them 4 options. 1, it's awesome. 2, looks fun, which is a little bit less excited than awesome. I was like, it seems cool. The third one was, I don't know. And the fourth one was, it's not for me. Yeah, and the fourth one was, is not for me. So, the lowest one is, it's not for me. We had, as of this video, we have 3.8 thousand votes. The first one is, it's not for me, with 3%. Next one, I don't know, with 14%. Then we have looks fun, which was the second one in terms of hype. Looks fun at 51%. And it's awesome at 31%. So at least in our community, it seems that most people are pretty hyped up about it. They're pretty positive about it. Yeah. And there's not a lot of people that are like, there's still some hesitation there on some people, but it looks like most people like it. But like I said, I think it's going to be one of those cases where you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah, like one of the things I can't, my memory is blurred because it was late night and I can't remember whether it was the Japanese stream or English one. I think it was the Japanese one where Dyozo was saying, you could go in there and just use just the cannons and the equipment and do a rampage that way. But he's like, or it was Ichinose maybe, but they balance in a way, like they really do want you to hunt as well because it is Monster Hunter. So he's like, you go in there and fight the monsters as well, which is why they added in that like 1.5-minute period where you fight and you're really strong. You're like more powerful than the cannons at that point. So at that, it encourages you to get down there and do some hunting. Yeah,
that was in the Ichinose interview. Yeah, that's why they put the counter gong. And it's interesting because when I heard them talk about the counter, I'm calling it the counter gong. That's not the name. It's got another name, but I'm missing it right now. But when they talked about it, I specifically, the first thing that came to mind was like, oh, they're doing this so that you don't just sit at the cannons and actually go down there and attack, which is cool. Like, personally, I want to be down there.
The cannons are doing like
yeah.
50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. It's like, okay, why am I going to go down there and hit them for 12?
Yeah.
So they changed it so like when you hit, you're hitting for like 100 or something. It's like crazy.
I'm personally still going to go down there and I want to do wyvern riding. That's going to be my thing. I'm going to try to mount as many monsters as possible.
That's what I was telling you. And I was like, can you imagine 5 monsters? You do like a ride fest where you like, boom, hit the other one. Boom. It's like a chain mount. And then everyone else is just shooting the hell out of them as they're all down.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's going to be
so
one of the
shenanigans that we can have. It's going to be so fun.
That is going to be friggin' insane. But it's like right now, I'm still optimistic. Like, I think it's going to be a ton of fun. There are some things that I don't like about Rampage. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that makes it a really arcade thing, a very much gamey thing, where there's a lot of aspects of Monster Hunter that I like that are about, I don't want to say simulation, but it's almost like a simulation where your hunter's getting tired, you got to eat food, you got to sharpen your weapon. Those are things that contribute to immersion in the form of simulation. And it seems like Rampage just throws all those out the window. It's like, nah, dude, this arcade, man. Waves are coming. Monsters are coming. Repel them and next wave and get prepared. It almost reminds me of Call of Duty's Zombies mode where, you know, you're buying weapons in between rounds and you're reinforcing your defenses to make sure that the zombies can only come from one direction.
Yeah.
Feels somewhat similar to that in a lot of ways.
I think I'm with you where I'm excited. It looks really fun, but there's something about it. It is very different. So it's kind of like I need to play it before I'm fully like, I'm all over this thing, baby. You know, like I kind of need to play it at least once, but it is very intriguing. And the fact that it's such an integral part of the game, just again, it makes me think like, wow, the team is very confident that it's not just like a siege mode. This is like a full mode inside the game. This is going to be a big thing. So this is like, it's a big gamble for them, right? It's like hit or miss. If this doesn't hit, that's going to greatly hurt the long time. I think they're confident it's going to hit.
Yeah.
But
they have to be. The thing about it that I'm also somewhat confident is that, you know how you have when we grinded Kolv to Roth, what was the biggest problem about grinding Kolv to Roth? You know, obviously there's RNG and the weapons and all, but the biggest problem is that it's the same thing. It's the same monster every single time. Same thing when you're grinding for Fatalis. It's the same monster. You're grinding for Safi. It's the same monster every time. In here, it can be any of the monsters in the game. They're all there. It's just like all of the monsters are there. So that is the thing that's going to make it stay interesting in a way. You're going to have a lot of weird situations. Like in the trailer, they show you mounting a Rajang and firing a laser against a Tigrex. It's like there's lots of crazy stuff happening in this mode. So I think it's going to be cool.
No Rampage is going to play out like the next one, I think. And that's why I love the Fatalis hunt in World so much, is because every hunt plays out different every time. And I think we're going to get that with Rampage. That's exciting.
That is exciting. There's a ton of stuff to get hyped about when it comes to that.
There will be that crowd of people who are going to be like, you know, I can't afford or I don't want to pay for Switch Online.
Yeah.
So, you know, but the thing is, they did say they are balancing it.
They're balancing it for solo.
So I think while it may not be as fun, I think it'll still be very fun.
It'll still work. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think that's another reason why they added in those options where you don't have to have every cannon be manual. You can choose automatic versions as well. Because if you're a single player, you could say, okay, I want a bunch of ballista up here on the left, but I don't want to have to go and do them myself. You could set them to automatic, and there's like a little villager that pops up and does it for you. So you can what is it, the Fight Club, right? You decide your level of involvement. Is that what was the line?
I was thinking of someone like inflating villagers. Inflatable villagers getting sent up. Like someone down there, it's Hojo. Hojo is down like it's like inflating,
I'm blowing them up.
Inflating villager.
Oh shit, we need 3 more. This guy's really going heavy on the automatic stuff. Oh man, I can't wait to see like Team Darkside will be like, we don't need no stinking cannons. They'll just leave it completely empty and naked, and they'll just go in there with the weapons and go crazy. And I do love that that's an option though, that you don't have to put. Yeah. You don't have to actually place anything. You could have just nice a clean area, like just clean, like 5 cannons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. Like you don't have to commit to placing stuff.
But
however, what do you think about this one? All the weapons seem really powerful, so there's not like a disadvantage of one over the other. But how do you feel about, you do a rampage with other players, and as the host, you kind of like have like, okay, I want to have a cannon here, like you sort of like know what you want.
Yeah.
But then other players can run around and just start flipping around and changing them at will, and they can change like, okay, no, we're gonna make tons of bombs, or no, we're gonna change them to cannons. Like, what do you think about? Could that be frustrating? I don't know.
I think that you're probably going to get, if you're in a multiplayer hunt, the way that I would do it is you get a budget per player.
Everyone choose up to 4. Go for it.
Yeah, something like that. But I'm saying that should be something that the game itself implements. But on the other hand, this might be something that you have options to choose. Like you can have budget mode where everybody has a certain amount of weapons, or you can just decide, this person gets to decide everything that we do, and you just have just one person that likes doing that strategic stuff so that the other hunters can focus on just having fun. But I don't know how they're going to do it. The thing is, most of the times I feel like that I'm going to do that, I'm either going to be on stream or playing with people I know. So we'll probably just be on voice comms or something and just deciding, listen, we're going to put something here, something there. So I don't think that's going to be something that I'm going to be running into, but running into randoms could be weird. Particularly if
I mean, everything seems so powerful that it probably doesn't matter in the end, because the Apex is just going to destroy that shit anyways, and they're going to force you to hunt it. Yeah. But I don't know, for some people who are like really anal about it, and like maybe it's frustrating. Like I set up cannons, and then this guy just keeps coming by and changing them out to bamboo bombs. It's like, stop it.
I don't think. Well, you would have to do it during the prep phase, right? Because you're not going to be changing stuff.
You can do it outside the prep phase. You can change them at will.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, what if you just have that moron who's not really hunting? He's just going around changing installments over and over again. It's like, stop it.
It's just like going around like, no, we need bombs, dude. We need more bombs. Yeah. We need
or we have a troll who just says, that's it. We're putting everything away. I don't think we'll run into an issue, but I just find it kind of funny.
Yeah. I don't know how it's going to work with random. It's going to be complete chaos, but
humans can be weird. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun chaos. So like, it's just going to be absolute bonkers.
We'll see. So after all the Rampage news, correct me if I'm missing anything, but I think the one bit that's left is the interview, right?
Yeah, the English interview. So I think you're probably more
You guys
familiar.
did not have an interview in Japanese?
Well, they had a stitcher. Oh, actually, you know what? We're missing something actually. From the
please
trailer.
tell, because I'm super scattershot. I've been working on too many videos these past couple of days. My brain's going a million miles an hour. I actually drank a coffee at night, which is something I haven't done in ages for today.
so we didn't talk about this, but obviously there's going to be a second demo. I'm assuming everyone knows this by now.
Well, we mentioned it at some point during this podcast already.
And they're not going to change anything. But the other one was DLC Monster. Come on.
Oh, Chameleos. Oh my God.
Yes, at the end of the like, it killed me seeing some people's reactions. For me, I love that monster. When I saw the little mist and I immediately knew who it was. There was no question about it. I was like, oh my God. But Chameleos, I'm so happy to see him.
He's going to
be our first DLC
I knew that you
monster.
were super hyped about it. One of the things that I instantly called out was like, it's really funny that it's a friggin' Melee that gets jumped by Chameleos, because the Melee steal your stuff, and then Chameleos goes in there, steal his little staff, and throws it back at him. I was like, dude, that's awesome. And a lot of people were asking me about Chameleos, because, a lot of people entered through Monster Hunter World, and people were like, what's so special about Chameleos? Why is everyone so excited about Chameleos? And I'm like, well, Chameleos is a monster that is invisible, and he uses a lot of poison attacks. He's a lot of fun. And then he steals your stuff. Like, he can steal your friggin' power charms off of your inventory. He can steal your max potions. In the old games, he would steal your map, and you wouldn't be able to figure out where you were going in the map. It was complete chaos. He's just a very chaotic monster. And we're going to be able to ride him. That's going to be an interesting thing to see.
Oh man, I love the idea of like the way that they framed that whole cutscene.
Yeah.
Was it like the thief getting his stuff stolen from him?
The little Malinx going around, his little staff, and he's like, give me that. Just throw it back at him. How do you like getting your stuff robbed off of you?
I can't wait to see how the robbing goes. I'm hoping that he steals wire bugs because lizards and chameleons like bugs and they eat them. So it'd be very interesting if he swallows and eats wire bugs. But it could just be items as well, but I don't know because you can restock. So I don't know how I'm intrigued. Okay. I can't wait to see how it works.
I'm hoping he steals charms off of people, like the power charms and the armor charms. Yeah.
Stop it. Shut up.
Just like straight up steals it off you. And at this point, this is when people that don't know about Chameleos are asking, well, how do I get it back? You don't. When Chameleos steals your stuff, it's gone forever, dude. You're never getting it back. So that was pretty hype. And then we have that thing that you didn't like that much, which is they do a little roar afterwards. That a lot of people are saying.
They always tease something, yeah. And anytime they could have a cat meow and everyone would be like, it's Gore Magala. Like,
okay, so
it doesn't matter what it is. I get it. I love Gore Magala as well, but it's kind of funny at this point that any possible thing they show, regardless of if it sounds like it or looks like it, it's like, oh, is that Gore Magala?
But it sounds like Gore Magala, though. Someone pointed out in my comment section, and I went and I checked and I looked at an old Gore Magala roar. And it just sounded like an updated version of that roar. Some people were saying, oh, it also might sound like Logi. So I went and I heard a Logi roar as well. And I was like, no, it sounds nothing like Logi. Forget about it. It definitely does not sound like Logi. But it did sound like Gore Magala for sure.
To me, it didn't sound like Gore. So maybe I'm just numbing myself for not to be disappointed, right? So I keep telling myself that until I see Gore, I don't believe Gore's in because I would love Gore to be in. Come on.
Yep. I mean, everybody loves Gore Magala. Gore Magala is an amazing monster, and it would be cool to see a return. But if he does return, he has to come back with the frenzy mechanics. It can't just be, oh yeah, we added Gore Magala. Just here's Gore Magala. Boom, done. Like I want to see frenzy and other monsters. I want to see the virus.
Yeah. But I found just the whole idea, though, that they're going to be doing the same DLC, adding monsters like they did with Monster and Iceborne, World and Iceborne is fabulous. I'm happy to see that. It's kind of interesting. They said Chameleos comes just a month after the game is out, and it comes with multiple monsters. It's not just Chameleos.
Wait, they said it's not just Chameleos? I thought it was going to be Chameleos first, and then eventually they bring more monsters.
No. They had the schedule, and it said, version 2.0. They actually named it in the Japanese stream later. Version 2.0 is Chameleos plus other monsters. I don't know if they're new or returning. I don't know. But so it's going to be multiple monsters being added in that update. And also that's going to be the update in which they remove the HR cap. So they stated, I think in the English interview, that once they'll have a special quest in that update that if you clear it, it then unlocks your HR cap. And then you can start earning points either by doing, and this was interesting. They said, I guess it's not interesting. It's kind of how they always did it. But yeah, you can get HR points for doing both village quest or gathering quests. So it doesn't matter.
But I know what you mean, because when I read the way that they were typing it, it also seemed like, wait, so what? This sounds different. But then you think about it, no, it's exactly the same thing. It was just the wording that they used was kind of weird. So this is the first time where the hunter rank unlock cannot be unlocked in version 1.0 of the game, right? On the release version of the game.
Yeah, which is interesting, to say the least.
That is something that has me a little bit conflicted, because in a way, I almost think that it's good to kind of, because, people do tend to get a little bit too addicted to the game, and they just like play maybe unhealthy amounts of time, and they're like, oh, I'm going to grind the hunter rank and do all of the things. So in a way, there's the positive aspect where there's no reason to do that, because there's a cap on your hunter rank. You can't go above a certain rank. On the other side, there's also the fact that also means that if I want to, if I just play regularly and I hit the hunter rank cap, I can't level it up anymore. Feels weird, right?
Yeah, it's I don't know whether or not they're going to allow you to build it up in the background, and it just like when you unlock that quest, it's like okay, you're hunter rank 300, like, or I don't know how it's going to work. I'm not going to read into the wording too much to say that I know because I don't. Um, I like it in the fact that it allows that maybe they needed more time, maybe they want to plan it out a little bit better about how they're going to set the requirements for the upcoming monsters, because I think they did mention that the new monsters are all going to require you to hit certain HR caps.
Yes.
Which is how it used to work in the old games. So it's not like you're just guaranteed all the DLC monsters. Yes, you can fight them. No, it's they're going to require you to progress. But in the flip side, they're going to let you also get hunter rank by just doing village, which we know is going to be easier than doing gathering hall. So it's different than they've ever done it. So it's going to be interesting to see how they run it.
Well, it's definitely better than, oh, I'm hunter rank 24. Guess I'll go hunt Fatalis.
Exactly. So I think that'll solve that issue for sure. It also gives the first update a lot of weight and something to really look forward to.
Yep.
Like you said, some people might get upset because they budgeted 3 weeks to play the game in full and they wanted to go ham and they can't do that. So I feel their pain. I mean, that's a legitimate criticism if they feel that way. On the flip side, there's some really cool things. It gives you things to look forward to. It also means that, okay, I've got a full month before I need to worry about clearing clearing the game, so to say, before the DLC starts coming. That's kind of nice to know. So there's no right answer here. I think it all depends upon execution. So there's just no precedence. I just don't know how it's going to play out.
So,
but then they said there's going to be another update, right? So it's not just one. They're committing to another update as well, which they're going to have multiple monsters.
Yes.
And in this one, I wanted to touch a little bit about what they meant by ending, because I know that was kind of like a thing that concerned some people, I guess. But because the way that, and I rewatched it before we talked, and it's not actually like a translation issue. It's just more of a phrasing issue. Because in Japanese, the interview in the English one, Ichinose says, we'll have the date's not set, but we'll have new monsters, or we'll be adding monsters, and we'll also be adding in an ending.
Yeah.
And so the way he said it in English, the way he said it in Japanese in that interview part of the English stream, is completely accurate. He just said they're adding an ending. He didn't give much detail, but in the Japanese, I think they clarified it a little bit more. In their slide during their presentation, it said it's going to be additional monsters, additional ending. So okay. I think the way that this is going to play out is that we'll have an ending to the game, of course, but like when the story that happens through the DLC monsters, I think is going to progress the story even more beyond the ending. So this will be like the true ending, like you sort of, it's, I guess they're calling it out because there's going to be high production value for it, and it's story related, which is kind of cool. But I'm not worried about it. Like, oh my God, we're not going to be able to beat the game until later this year. That's not going to happen.
The thing that I thought was weird was how they worded it in the subtitles, which is it adds more monsters and a conclusion to the story. And it definitely feels like, the game doesn't end until this update comes, the way that they said it. Because like I remember that you had the tweet where you said the additional ending thing, and I was even talking about it before the live stream was going on. And I was like, this is probably going to be something like what we have with Fatalis, right? So in Iceborne, the story of Iceborne essentially ends when we do the Shara Ishvalda fight. Like, that's the end. Yeah. That's the end of that story. And then you move on and you get the DLC monsters, and there's little cinematics here and there and the events and whatnot. And then eventually there's another bit of a story beat when you do the Fatalis arc, which is a very small story beat, but it's like its own contained story.
That's the conclusion, so to say, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like it's not necessarily connected to the rest of the events of Iceborne. It's like it's a separate thing. And I think that this is kind of the same thing that we're getting here.
Yeah. So maybe they might even have a small little cliffhanger at the end of the ending of the game, and that's what they'll give us later on, which is kind of neat.
Yeah,
like,
but
it'll be an additional...
We will still get a conclusion on the 1.0 version of the game. A conclusion for
That's my assumption. I don't see how that would not be the case.
For both the village and the hub, I would assume.
Yeah, that's my assumption as well. So I'm not worried about that. I'm actually excited by it. The fact that they're going to have story related updates is cool. I mean, the more they give us, the better, in my opinion.
So I was actually hoping that, considering how much they're showing off cinematics and it, I really miss the story of For You, because like I thought that was a really good story that we had along the way. And it's like, World was cool. World is still my favorite Monster Hunter game, but the story wasn't, to me, it wasn't as cool as the story in 4. I thought the story in For You was way cooler, and I'm hoping that the story in Rise is more interesting than the story in. And it definitely seems that way because there's already the setup of the Rampage, which, seems maybe a little bit more interesting than elders crossing a river to die. Well, not a river, an ocean, whatever.
Sorry, I zoned out for a second. I need sleep. Wow. I only got like 3 hours of sleep last night.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
I forgot where I forgot where I was, who I was, what I'm doing, and what I'm.
Yeah, guys, we're both super sleep deprived, so we're sorry if we get to like we're coming up on 2.5 hours. We're starting to get a little bit incoherent here, but yeah. Basically, I was telling you about the story and how I like the story in For You, and I'm hoping that the story in this is more kind of like that as opposed to the World one, which felt a little bit simpler, so to speak.
My bet is gonna be I hope it would be something like For You, but my bet is that it's probably more like World. That's my assumption, at least going into it. So, but I mean, this feels like a more contained, lower scale stuff, right? Like I don't think we're going on a journey across multiple villages.
Yeah. I'm not expecting a journey across multiple villages. I'm just expecting like maybe something with a little bit more stakes, in terms of the way that the plot. Monster Hunter is not a story game. It's not a story.
Monster Hunter story is. I don't expect much out of the story. It's functional. For You was a nice surprise. It was more than functional, but I think that was a rare gem. So I would never expect that, but I would certainly want it.
Yeah. So I need you to tell me about Yaki Yako.
Yeah, so
because Ichinose said that the Rampage is inspired by a Japanese picture scroll called Yaki Yako, and then he says something about the parade of 100 dragons. I googled Yaki Yako and I got a bunch of different scrolls with a bunch of different yokai represented on them. I'm not sure if there's like an original Yaki Yako or something like that, but I definitely got curious. Like what is this all about in terms of like Japanese culture? I don't know if you know though, because obviously this is something very niche, very specific, right?
I mean, but Yaki Yako is something like I've known about for a long time. I mean, it's just I think it's just more of a concept and it's more of a visual thing. Like I think everyone's seen. It's just saying like there's a procession of demons and oni. Like instead of just oni being these things that appear and they traumatize and terrorize everybody. There's this idea that they'll gang up and there's like a procession line of all of them. And you see this in tons of Japanese games and movies and stuff where it's just a whole line, almost like a parade of oni coming in to invade a land or something. And so it's just a concept of maybe something that the oni do or did. And it's just like what would be a comparable thing in the West? It's like saying like,
it reminds me of the way that you're describing it. It reminds me of the Twilight levels of Neo. See, because in Neo, you go through a level and there's like humanoids and sometimes you'll find a couple of Onis in there as well and you'll fight them and then you get to the other level and that's that. And then at later stages, they unlock a Twilight version of that level, which is basically just filled with Onis. Like they replace all of the enemies with Onis. That definitely sounds like the stuff that you're describing there. Kind of.
Yeah, because this is like, I don't know, it's just something that's been told down for generations, right? When it comes to the Oni and the lore of them. So like you were saying, if you Google, there's tons of old scrolls with images of what they call a Hyakiyako, which is the night procession of 100 demons is what it translates to. So they've changed, in Japanese, they're calling it Hyakuryu Yako. So it's the night procession of 100 wyverns. They're doing a play on words here. Is what they call. That's what they call the Rampage in Japanese. Is Hyakuryu Yako.
Oh, interesting. So
yeah.
they don't actually call it Rampage; they call it Hakuruyako.
Yeah, it's the night procession of 100 dragons. It's a direct play on words here. Instead of using the Oni, they change it to Wyvern.
So it's not enough that they usually do a bunch of puns when they do the localized English version. Now they're doing puns in the Japanese version.
I actually really like the term Rampage. I think that they chose a good word because in Japanese, if you were to directly translate, it doesn't sound like something that's dangerous or violent. It almost sounds like it's a parade.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a spectacle. They're just
it's not like these scenes are pretty nasty beings. So the idea is conveyed correctly, I think, in Rampage, where it's just like these monsters are just coming out and going ham on us, you know.
So a lot of the other questions that they asked, I mean, we already talked about some like the Apex Monsters stuff and whether or not Rampage was going to be solo friendly, which I think Rampage being solo friendly was one of the biggest questions that I personally had, because I know that a lot of the people in our community, there's a lot of people that don't have like good internet connections or can't afford to pay for PlayStation Plus or Nintendo Online. So it's nice that it's going to be solo friendly. That's definitely a big positive. But the other questions were more like flavor questions. I felt like. So I'm curious because this was asked of me earlier today, and that is, what is your favorite new monster? The only new monsters count though. You're gonna have to go to the website.
Well, I don't know the English name.
Oh, you only
yeah, because even though I'm watching stuff in English, I talk about the game a lot, and me and Yuna talk in Japanese, so we use the Japanese names for everything. So Oromidoro is my favorite by far, but it's the mud guy. What's his name in English?
Almudron.
Okay, yes, Almudron is by far my favorite out of all of them. How about you?
You clearly have chosen poorly. Because the best one is obviously
Tetranodan.
See, there you go, dude.
I know.
You even know that the best one is Tetranodon. That chunky boy, dude. You can't.
Every time you say his name, I feel the love. Like I can feel like this is my boy.
Dude, Tetranodon is so cool. Like his armor is awesome. And today I got to watch like his wyvern riding attacks. He just like jumps up and butt slam stuff, and it's so cool.
He a chunky boy.
He's a chunky boy, and he tries to eat the Urzuros. You remember in that first turf where it's like, well, I can't beat him. I'm just gonna eat him. Blah, blah, blah. Tries chopping him down. It's so cool. Like from the ones that we've seen so far.
I love all the new monsters, so they're all so cool, aren't they?
Yeah, they're looking hella nice. And another interesting thing that I actually called this when I initially saw Gosarag, and they gave him a blade using his breath. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if when he was enraged, he would get two blades? And he does.
Yeah, there he gets it.
He gets the two blades. He's a dual blades user, dude. God damn. So
that's great.
Out of all of the stuff that we talked about, what was the one thing that marked you the most? Out of everything that was talked about.
One thing that stuck out to me, which stuck out to Yuna as well, which we didn't mention yet, was that they're adding in a new scale for difficulty for 3 players. That is hype.
Why?
Because there's many times where like you would get 3 people and you're like, do we wait for a 4th or do we go out at a disadvantage? Like what? And then you're waiting around. Now you don't even have to think about it. That's awesome.
I gotta tell you, I never thought about it. I'm like, whatever. There's 3 of us. I don't care. And a lot of times that I grinded was actually 3 of us, because it would be me, it would be Kegren, and it would be Wada Nagashiks, which Kegren usually plays Insect Glaive, Wada plays Charge Blade, and I would play Gunlance. And it would usually be the 3 of us. In a lot of hunts, like whenever I wasn't streaming, it would usually be just the 3 of us. And same thing for GU. It would pretty much always be the 3 of us, because one of the things about GU is, due to the fact that I came in very late to GU, I mean, I didn't come in late. The game just wasn't available in the West, so it's not like it was a choice, right? I would always be scared of getting carried, because that's one of the things that, I personally don't want to get carried. So we would be in about the same progress points. We would always play just kind of like the 3 of us. But I never thought of it being like a huge deal, but I do think it's a good thing, because there's different skill levels all throughout the Monster Hunter community. So some people, maybe if there's 3 of them and they're scaled up to 4, it might take them a little bit longer than they're comfortable with. So that's cool. I always thought it was kind of weird that they did 1, 2, and 4. Like, why didn't they do 3 in World? Like, that was kind of weird. We also got to see the house. Did we talk about the house yet, or did we only talk about before the podcast? Because I know
we talked about it.
We talked about.
Oh no, you're right. Maybe it was before the podcast, but yeah. So in the Japanese videos, they have we did
talk about it. I mentioned the Sengoku thing and everything. Good God, our heads.
Oh, see, wow, our memory's going. Help us, guys. We're old. This is why we shouldn't talk at all before the podcast, because then we start forgetting what we talked about.
We talked a little bit before the podcast today, guys. We're sorry.
Yeah, but my house looks nice.
The house looks nice. I like it. I like the outside of it. I like
one of the good things that we got from this whole news blast, though. One of my favorite things to come out of this is the meme of you reacting.
Dude,
I love that.
That was the splitting wyvern shot. That was when I saw the splitting wyvern. I was like, just this big explosion, and me being a Gunlance mate, I'm all about the explosion. I was like,
do
what?
I have permission to crop your head and use that as an emote on my Discord
and use it on whatever you want? Dude, I love
it. Now I'm gonna have fun trying to figure out how to name it. What should the emote be called?
I don't know. Ruripog. I don't care. It's like
Rurigasm.
Rurigasm, sure. Whatever. Like there was also
it's great.
There was also someone that put me in the little cat suit that you have for your avatar with inside the little cat suit.
Are you gonna use that for the thumbnail for this?
I might. It looks hella good. I like it. I know it's maybe a little bit, egotistical, but dude, I don't care. I thought it was funny as hell. I love the memes that came out of that. I was super happy. Like, those live streams were a ton of fun. So many people showed up. It was friggin' crazy. It was a blast. But I guess that's probably going to be a wrap for this episode. I'm sure that we're probably missing something because we're both brutally sleep deprived at this point. And there's still one more event that's going to be happening this week. It's going to be the community event on Thursday. And Eric's is going to be there with Strippin'.
Nice.
And Mrs. Watt 5000, Mrs. Watt 1000. I'm sorry, I'm blanking out on the name of this streamer, and I'm assuming that the 4th hunter is going to be either Yuri or Sox, because they're only announcing 3 hunters right now for the event. So I would assume that the 4th hunter is going to be one of them, one of the community managers, because you would want 4 hunters, and I'm assuming that they're going to do the Magnum Aloe demo, or maybe they get like special demo, they get to fight in the snow map.
But they're not doing anything like that in Japan. It's just going to be the West, the global.
So Japan does not get a community stream?
Well, they don't do that. They don't even Twitch. They don't do any streams, right? That's a pure Western initiative thing. So bless them, man.
They don't Twitch, but they do streams. They do a Japanese stream on the Capcom channel all the time. It's just like more of a marketing thing.
It's not the same.
It's not dedicated to. Yeah, it's Capcom TV. It's not dedicated to.
I guess you're right. I guess that's our version of it. So I just say the Western audience is a much better version of. Because Capcom TV, I mean, yeah, you're not getting the most interesting hunts from them, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, it's like you said, it's all about showcasing the monsters and all of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It was so funny because when we were watching, I believe it was Sox playing in the clip yesterday against Gas Harag.
No, it was
so
I can tell you right now, that's not Sox playing.
It's not. Oh, whoever it was, because me and Yuna were watching it, and she's like, He's significantly trying to hunt better than they did in the Japanese stream. Like, you can tell he wants to land like the ultra, right? You can tell he's trying to build up for it and do the big boom at the end. And it was really funny, but it was a really good showcase actually.
It was, because
I preferred that over the Japanese one, because the Japanese one had they had a new commercial. So they had the actress who does the commercial, which is really fun. But she was doing a hunt, and I think it's a combination of, I don't think she's had much time to play the game, and also it's a new monster, and she's on stage. it wasn't a very good demo, so to say. There wasn't like a relaxed space and stuff like that.
I thought those commercials were hilarious, by the way.
I love them.
I wanted to show one of those commercials at the start of my stream today, but I know that Japan is they're very tight when it comes to licensing stuff. So I was almost like scared of playing the commercial because I don't know if they would come after me. Because like they gave you a tough time over using the scale video and stuff like that in the past. So yeah, I didn't want it to thread the needle with that one.
Man, can it be March 26th yet?
Yeah,
Please.
I know. Don't I know, dude?
It's the only thing on my mind right now is like, I don't want to play this game now.
It's that
I want it in my veins.
It's that and Stories 2. I can't wait to get my hands on both Rise and Stories 2. It's a good thing that we have a decent chunk of months in between, because otherwise it'd be freaking crazy.
Yeah, I'm curious when they do the next update after the Chameleos update, when it's going to be, because I almost feel like it's going to be later in the year because it'll be sandwiched in between stories, right? Because you'll have like, comes out end of March, then you have end of April, early May, or is update 2. Then 2 months later, we get Stories 2. And I imagine maybe 2 months after that or a month after that, that would be a good timing to give some more
for another DLC.
More updates.
We didn't even talk too much about the crossover stuff. I was a little bit disappointed. It's just like, well, it's some cosmetic, some skin stuff for Stories and some skin stuff.
Yeah, it's always like that.
I was hoping for something maybe a little bit more, but I don't know exactly what I was expecting.
Well, I do like the Ichinose costume on what's her name. That was nice.
Yep, the characters getting the maiden custom from Rise. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for this edition of the Third Fleet Podcast. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to hit that like button. Always helps us out much more than you can possibly imagine. There's going to be links to all of Gaijin's stuff in the description of the channel. As per usual, make sure to follow him there. And you're going to be doing the translation on the Japanese.
I might. It's been so hard because with the construction going on during this afternoon, maybe Discord is just really good at killing the background sound, but it's horribly distracting, so I can't really record. So if time permits, and if I'm going to give it a day or two and see whether or not they upload it in English. If they don't, then I think I probably should.
Yeah, I think that'll be really cool. So make sure to stay tuned for that on Gaijin's channel. There's also the Discord stuff in there. If you want to come join our Discords, there's always people there that can help you out with hunts and stuff like that. If you're still trying to get the Fatalis in world or something like that, because I always get that question. Where do I go to find people to hunt with? And there's 2 Discords down there. We'll be able to find plenty of people that'll probably be happy to hunt with you. So just ask around. I'm sure you have an LFG channel as well. I have an LFG channel. So for anyone looking for people to hunt, you can probably find that stuff down there. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, be safe,
and happy hunting.